Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens, Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle, episode 309. Hopefully, you guys have had a great Tuesday. I've got a great guest for you tonight. We've seen this gentleman around the chats. Of course, as you can read on screen, we have Detroit River Rat with us tonight. Hello, my friend. Tell us how you're doing and where we can find you, if we can find you.
Yeah. How you doing, Neil? Great to be here. And I keep a pretty much low profile on social media. Pretty much I use email. I'm old and I use email. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me, they can get a hold of me at det.riverrat1 at att.net. But that's how you can get a hold of me. I may be exploring more social media in the future because I want to start up some businesses in my retirement, and that's the wave of the future.
Yeah, things get done on social media for sure. Moreover, it's a cheap way to advertise. I mean, especially if you're a growing business, I couldn't think of a better way to get your name out there and start advertising for yourself other than social media. I mean, it you make waves in short amounts of time with that. So yeah, it's almost a must for business these days.
Yep, it's just time for me. So I know you're going to ask this question, so I might as well jump right into it, right? Uh, the first time I smoked, right? Uh,
Sure.
so me, I grew up in pretty much a drinking family, right? Uh, my family, it was all about drinking was totally fine, totally acceptable. Don't do drugs, right? No, drugs were terrible. So I kind of grew up as a jock playing, sports. I played hockey growing up. I grew up, I live in Michigan. I grew up in the downriver area and I ended up growing up playing hockey. And I really enjoyed that. But so, I was always kind of like anti weed, when I was younger. And then slowly but surely, my friends started dabbling in it, And probably when I was a junior in high school, that was the first time I smoked a joint, right? Now, the first time I drank, I was 10 years old and in fourth grade, right? Because I had older brothers and my older brother was babysitting me and we had a pool table down our basement. And he had some buddies over there shooting pool. So he figured, oh, give Pat a beer. Well, Pat a beer and he won't tell, And so I started drinking and, I started partying drinking wise when I was fairly young, but smoking wise, it, it was junior in high school. Some of my buddies started smoking, so I figured, let me give that a try. And I actually smoked a joint. It was just a pinner, right? My buddy gave me, and I smoked it by myself, walking to a football game on Friday night. But, you know, like most people, I didn't really get a buzz. Now, once, I met up with some buddies and we drank, yeah, then I had a buzz. Uh, so I was a typical, I drank more than I smoked because back then I went to high school in the 80s, right? And there was weed around and typical brick weed, right? I was joking yesterday on Medical Monday show about just imagine how much I spent over the years just on seeds and stems, you know, uh, because so much of that weed was seeds and stems, We always had a frisbee in our car because, that's how we seeded, sorted the seeds and stems out of it, It was like everybody was a
Yeah.
frisbee player back then, uh, at least the people I hung around with. And
So do you think that was just because the frisbee was always there because of the seeds Figured, we might as well play frisbee.
That's why we bought them, to be honest with you. And then it was something to do once we got stoned, right? Because we'd go get high by the park, you know, and then because usually people would leave us alone, and then we'd go play frisbee in the park, you know. At least that was the story. But it always seemed to happen that way.
Definitely good times in the
But once
parks
in a
there.
while,
That's
go ahead.
no, I'm just saying, definitely good times in the parks there. That's where a lot of us hung out them times too. Was I think that's something that this generation, these kids growing up, the younger generation misses out on, man. The old, parks where that's where everybody met up after school. They'd go loop around, the local park, play frisbee, and be out in the sun. It was where everybody was. You go to them same parks today, and they're beautiful areas that aren't being utilized. Ghost towns. Most of the ones I grew up in go to see. It's like, man, it's just these areas are being wasted.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because the park that we used to go to back in the day was kind of dilapidated, and it's right on the Detroit River. It's a real nice park, right? But back then it was kind of real run down, and now it's actually county stuck all kinds of money into it, and it's real nice. It's kind of it's so actually more people use it now, and I don't think the kids could hang out there and get away with what we got away with back then because so many adults are using it now, and so many people are exercising and walking around and stuff. But I'm sure there's still people walking around smoking because it's there's plenty of area, fresh air and area to get away from people. But it was mostly brickweed. And then it seemed like around Christmas time, for some reason, we would get good green, some type of hydro or some type of, bud without any seeds. But the rest of the year, it seemed to be mostly seeds and stems. And then eventually I started meeting people that grew it outside. So then I would get a little bit better bud. Well, most of my experience was, seeds and stems, but it was, better than nothing, right? And I
I
think,
always joke.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say I always joke with some of my friends there that man, some of the stuff we throw away today, from our grows, we'd have been happy. We were sifting through to smoke joints from way back then and stuff, but today we're like just throwing it out. Back then we'd have
Well,
been happy to have that, most of it.
well, we used to save our seeds and stems like in another container. And then when we would get real hard up, we would sift through them and get a couple bowls worth of, shake or something, and it was bad back then. I told on Medical Mondays yesterday, I disclosed something and I got made fun of, but it would, we were hard up back then because you just didn't, one, we were kids, right? We didn't have much money. Weed was kind of scarce. You didn't always have access to it, right? So we would filter our bong water because like when you're smoking bong, you'd suck through so much bud, right? So then you'd like filter it through a strainer, let it dry, and then when you got real hard up, then you would kind of smoke that along with your seeds and stem weed, Uh, but in today's environment, you don't have to do that. It's so, luckily I started growing when it became legal, right? And I'm fairly new to growing. I'm, of course, not uh, fairly new to smoking if I started in the 80s. Uh, but I started growing once it became legal, and I don't know where I'm going here. Kind of stuff. Oh, now it's pretty easy to get weed, right? You know, like you said, the stuff we leave on the floor while you're trimming, eh, there's no way in hell when I was, back in the day, you would have done that. Someone came over just the other day and said, "Oh, here's a bud on the floor." I said, "Oh, just throw that away." you know, I know that sounds terrible, but
It's funny that you kind of say that because, I actually caught a little bit of slack the other day for rolling some roaches up on there the other day. I still do it. I won't. It's that mentality that we're talking about right there that I remember. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just the old fart in me, but whatever. But I remember, going through just that, putting aside stems, seeds, and for emergencies. And, so today I don't throw away roaches, even though I've got jars of smoke. I still will break down some roaches and, burn one. I don't, and it was funny that I caught as much shit as I did for it. I'm like, come on, man. Just because we got it don't mean we got to waste it. Come on, I can't be the only one. I can't be the
no.
only
And
one still doing it.
I was sitting in my lazy boy supporting you, Eagle, because I do the same thing, right? I mean, I grow, I don't really sell it, right? I have a decent job, so I don't need to sell it. I just grow for personal use and medical reasons, right? And I still, because I roll big fatties, right? And probably stop smoking them when there's an inch left, right? So my roaches are gigantic, right? So I'm not just gonna throw that away. I'm sorry, right? I guess I'm kind of cheap in that. I guess I remember the days where I didn't have enough. I guess I'm being a hypocrite though if I threw away a smashed bud, but yet I'm gonna smoke a roach, right? I guess I'm. But anyways, I've never said I'm not a hypocrite. I'm a complex individual, that's for sure.
Well, Vision 420 says he rolls his up in blunts. That's usually what I do a lot of times. I'll put them when I got that big roller that I use, and I'll like do like a 50-50, like some flour, half some decent flour, and then half roaches, and I'll get rid of them in one big fatty. Take care of what's laying around all at once. But yeah, it's about the same thing as I do. It's one big one big joint with them. It's usually a good one
Yeah, I
too.
kind of mix up some new bud into them. You know, I don't like just smoking. Sometimes I just roll them up. Usually I do. I don't when I'm smoking with friends. I always smoke real flower, right? I don't ever give them roach weed. I say, "Oh, I'll suffer. That's my own issue, right? So I'll do that." But uh,
Shit,
you
but
know,
like we say, even back then, they would the circle, the guys, everybody would be happy if that's all you had was like that roach. Or I'd be like, yeah, bust that thing out. I don't care.
oh yeah, that's for damn sure. There were no, we would smoke resin, right? I mean, you'd scrape your bowl and smoke bong resin or smoke pipe resin. Uh, I mean, when it got bad enough, it, there were some dry times for me at least where there was just nothing to be around. You know, in the '90s, there were some dry times, at least in
For
my
sure,
area.
for sure. As I'm sitting here listening to this and we're talking here, these are gonna be the we used to walk uphill both ways in the wintertime stories. You know what I mean? When we not so long, we'd be telling brickweed and seed stories just like this to a whole nother generation.
Yeah, that's a no. You're right. You know, I heard. There's a lot of stories like that. That's for sure. I might as well light one up myself.
Please do. What you got in that cannon?
Right now, I'm only growing two strains. Uh, excuse me. This is a sour diesel. So
That's
an
always a
oldie
good
but a
one.
goodie.
Yeah.
When I just popped some new seeds, and I gotta get more different variety going, right? Because I do a perpetual grow, right? And but right now, most of my flour is sour diesel. I got some OG Kush. I just uh I know you hate it, or you not a fan of it, but I've never tried it, right? I guess I live on a under a rock or something, but I've never tried GG4. So I bought some seeds. Now I know it's not real GG4 because it's got to be from clone, but I did buy some seeds, and we're gonna see how that is. Um, I'll give anything a try. See how it is.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's definitely good smoke. I'm sure you'll find it to be good medicine. It's just that I've had it for so long and it's been crossed with them a lot of things that it's been sent to me that I'm just kind of looking to get away from that lineage a little bit. Try to get something a little bit newer in the garden, newer stuff. But it works for a lot of people. It's around and it's big for for a reason. That's for sure. And people find it to be a great medicine. That's for sure. That's why Josie Wales was so passionate about it when he initially, found that strain. He gave it out here in Michigan in a lot of places for free. He didn't even want to make money off it. He just wanted to see people, have the medicinal value from it. So, that's kind of people I like to be around. I wish I would have been at this stage in the game then, so I could have, you had met a better relationship. Yeah, he actually. Well, I was at the Clio Cup here in Michigan, and he was there that first year that cup was available, and he was passing out. He had a booth, and it was full of clones, and he was passing them out to everybody. And I come around there at one point through the day, and I look over, and then I see all these clones, and they were drooped down because it was hot as shit that day. And he put one right in my gut, and I was like, nah. I didn't know who he was. I didn't even heard of the strain. And it kind of, because of the time of the day, you couldn't tell if it was, maybe sun. It could have been buggy. There's a lot of people. Either
Right.
way, I didn't want to take it. Oh man, I kicked myself a year or two down the road after I realized what I'd walked away from. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's why I kind of joined this community and started getting involved the last couple of months, and actually, volunteered to do an interview just to get to know people, right? And to start, it seems like, you know, I don't know, one of my neighbors is a grower, but he grows totally opposite than I do, right? I started growing a couple years ago, so I decided I'm going to do organic and I'm going to do LED lights, right? So, and he is totally opposite, right? He does bottle newts and, whatever those, eight, you know, those older lights. I'm out of touch.
Yes.
Yeah. But he does real good, right? I don't, you know, I, I was getting my medicine from him for years, right? And then when he became legal, I'm like, shit, Pat, why don't you start growing it, right? Um, and so then that's when I started growing it. I bought some lights and bought some seeds and just started, watching YouTube videos and reading books and, just started getting involved, right? I've always been a gardener. I like gardening outside. I like plants. I like house plants. So, taking care of plants wasn't foreign to me, right? Um, and I kind of enjoy it. It's become a hobby at this point, and I kind of go overboard with my hobbies. I have no one to keep me in check, right? I'm single. I'm a bachelor, and I have a fairly decent job. And so, anyways, I get to have fun with my hobbies. You know, people would probably make fun of me and criticize me for the way I do things because it's probably not the most cost efficient, but it's a hobby, so I can tell them to go fuck themselves. Uh, and, because what I've learned is people are very critical, and what people have to learn is there's a lot of right ways to do things. You know, there's not one right way, you know. And if you end up with good bud that you enjoy at the end of the day, well, then you fucking did it right, you know. Who am I to say, oh no, you did it wrong, you should do it this way? No, you know, it's however you want to do it. If it works for them, good, you know. Uh, I don't know. That's how I am. I'm trying to, uh,
No, I agree with you. I mean, there is so many different ways to, achieve the same ending there, and no one way, in my opinion, is right. It's more or less what suits you, your dollar, and your environment. You know what I
right.
mean? Like, you're right on par there and saying, as long as it's good enough for you, it's good enough. So I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
And since I was just going to grow it as medicine for myself, right? I got arthritis. I played hockey from when I was in second grade to say when I was a senior in high school, right? And I guess I ended up screwing up my hips. I really never knew it, but I ended up getting arthritis in my hips and ended up getting a hip transplant on my left side because I'm bone on bone. And I need a hip transplant on my right side. But due to all this COVID shit, and, you know, I just don't want to get a hip surgery right now, right? So, and I'm not really a fan of opiates, right? So, smoking cannabis, it's kind of a nice thing. Relatively alleviates the pain. Don't have to worry about, an addiction, right? To me, I find it's more habit forming than addiction, right? Uh, I, I'm a recovering alcoholic, right? I haven't had a drink since April 27th, 1989, right? So I kind of know what an addiction is versus what a habit is, right? Or like I'm addicted to nicotine, right? I go through physical withdrawals when I give up smoking, right? I, you know, I used to chew tobacco. I'm a, chewed Copenhagen, nasty fucking habit. Did that for 30 years. And now I'm trying to wean myself. I quit that. And now I went to another nasty habit, smoking cigars. So if you see me, pick this up, this isn't a big ass blunt. This is a cigar. Uh, but I know when I go through physical withdrawal, with nicotine, right? With weed, or with, cannabis, I can quit for a couple of days. I don't go through any, it's not like my body's going through the same withdrawal it does with nicotine, you know, um, at least for me, right? Um, not that I've not smoking that much, quit many times for a few days lately. But, in the past, it wasn't that big a deal. And in my life, you know, my story is I can't, I have nothing against alcohol. My family drinks, right? My brothers drink. I got beer in my refrigerator for when my friends come over, right? because my kitchen table is a poker table, right? So, I have poker games and, beer drinking and cigar smoking and weed smoking, So I don't mind being around. It's just not for me, right? I know I have a problem with it, right? Other people, hey, they're more than happy to it, right? But like I joke, when I drank, I ran red lights, right? When I smoke, I stop at green lights. So, which is more dangerous, right? Um, and I was kind of an asshole when I drank, right? Not kind of, I was, right? I would get belligerent. I would like getting into fights, right? I'm very clean cut. And I got away with a lot by being, clean cut, and but eventually, you get enough drunk driving tickets, you total enough cars, and you eventually learn that, other people in your family are alcoholics or died from alcoholism. I come from a family who pretty much are entrepreneurs, right? My uncle was a genius, but he ended up dying of alcoholism, right? My, you know, my dad's mom, you know, very nice petite lady, always pretty, wore dresses, she was, it's in my genes, right? It's part of my genetics, unfortunately. So, but we just, or, marijuana, cannabis just doesn't have that nasty effect on my life, right? It didn't have the effect that alcohol had on my life, right? I didn't end up in the gutter because I was, you know, smoking weed, right? And I kind of always behind the scenes. My dad died. I grew up in a family of four. I had two brothers and a sister. My dad died. I'm the youngest. My dad died in a car accident. Uh, he owned a pharmacy, and but anyways, he died in a car accident. So my mom raised us. She was fortunate. Uh, you know, she raised her kids by herself. And but in my family, it was like there was no privacy. There was no, there were search and seizure rights. My mom, she didn't believe in personal privacy rights. You bring it in the house, she'll damn search. We're away from school. She's gonna fucking search your bedroom and find shit, right? So anyway, she would keep finding my weed. She in high school, I bought this one pipe, and this is the first pipe she found, and she kind of freaked out. But it was an actual chicken claw. It was a chicken leg, right? It was an actual chicken leg, and it had a bowl like right in the middle of it, right?
Sounds pretty cool.
It was cool because in high school, like I'd walk down the hall and I'd give the claw sign, and my buddies would know, okay, let's go smoke, let's go in his car and smoke, But anyway, she found it and then she all freaked out about it, right? But uh but like when I'd come home drunk, oh that I would get in trouble, but not much of the trouble, right? She didn't believe in grounded, so I'd clean the garage or some shit, and everything would be better, right? Because drinking was just acceptable in my family. Um, and but like when I started getting into, you know, I quit drinking by the time I was 21 years old, right? Because I got in so much trouble. I totaled four cars. I was a bad drunk driver. I was a blackout drinker. And it was kind of funny because I'd get in trouble and my mom would always blame the weed, right? Well, it wasn't the half gallon of Southern Comfort that four of us split. Oh, no, that wasn't the problem. That wasn't the reason why I totaled the car. It was that weed I was smoking. That's why I totaled the car, you know. But eventually, once I finally quit drinking, and I never really quit smoking weed because I realized, I said, okay, I'll quit whatever is what's causing the most harm in my life first, right? Well, then my life started improving, right? And I never really had to quit smoking weed because it hasn't had the detrimental effects of my life that alcohol had, right? Um, but to be honest, getting sober or stopping drinking was the best thing that I've ever done in my entire life. I'll be honest with you, right? It changed my life dramatically. I was going down the tubes. I was failing out of college, got fired from a job, you know, um, wasn't wasn't winning awards, uh, and luckily, a judge, sent me to AA, and I took it, I went to AA, I took it honestly, right? I took it with a grain of salt, some things, but, I learned some things there, and I still use the things I learned there today, right? Today, uh, when I was a drinking man, I used to think, God was for dumb and weak people, you know, that's who needed God, right? Yeah, that's for dumb and weak people. But and today, I have a new appreciation because, to me, at least everybody, I'm not saying one way's right. That's by far from that, right? But for me, right, religion's for the people that don't want to go to hell, right? Spirituality's for the people that have been there and don't want to go back, right? And when I was living in that stupor of, being an alcoholic, right, I was kind of living in hell, right? And fortunately, in today's environment, I do have spirituality in my life, right? I do have a God in my life, right? I do meditate, right? I do pray. Uh, I do give thanks, right? And I think yesterday or you were talking about being grateful, right? And that is so important. Is talking about how grateful you are, right? Because I'm extremely grateful because I have the world by the ass when it comes right down to it, right? I have no fucking complaints. I have, when I bitch or whine, that's all they are. They're fucking, it's me whining, you know?
Well, congratulations for beating that demon alcohol, brother, because that ain't an easy demon to beat. It takes a lot of people. It destroys a lot of lives. I'm actually what 26 years, 25 years no alcohol. I gave it up with my first girl, and
Yeah.
haven't looked back, man. It was the same way, man. I was a heavy drinker, fucking it, quick to fight, quick to fight back in them days because of the alcohol. That's for sure. And it was gonna lead me to an early death. That's for sure. And I'm glad the alcohol is gone. That's for sure. You know, it just destroys a lot of life. So heads off to you for being able to get that out of your life before it probably would have wrecked yours as well.
No, you only can walk away with so many total cars, right? I remember one time, and I know this is going to sound corny, right? But I hit a light pole, right? I was not wearing a seatbelt, and I felt something come between me and the steering wheel, right? I can't explain it, right? I mean, I wrapped my car around a fucking street pole, right? Totaled it, right? A little sunbird, right? And I pretty much walked away from it, right? And it's a crazy, and unfortunately, since my dad owned a pharmacy in a small town, right? A lot of and it was in the 60s, so it was an old fashioned pharmacy and there was a soda fountain, right? Well, I guess all the police officers hung out there, right? So when I was growing up and when I was a teenager, all those young police officers that hung out at my dad's place, right, were all the lieutenants and the desk sergeants and right. So sometimes I would get away with shit that I probably shouldn't have got away with. It just prolonged the inevitable, right? So on that episode, right, I totaled my car, right? My That was four of us. My one buddy stole some back muscle relaxers from his dad, right? We all took a muscle relaxer. Four of us split a half gallon of Southern Comfort, right? And well, anyways, I was driving so shitty at the end of the night, they got the hell out of the car. They're like, drop me off, right? Well, I was still young, and my older brother, I had his fake ID, so I was drunk. I'm like, I'm still going to the bar, you know? So I'm headed to the bar. And, anyways, I wrap my car, I hit a patch of water, and boom, I run into this telephone pole, light pole. Well, anyways, so the cop pulls up, you know, I have weed on me and that half gallon of Southern Comforts in the car, you know. So I throw my weed out, right? And a couple minutes later, police car drives up with us, you know, and I can't barely speak. I'm just wasted, right? I give him my driver's license and stuff, and he tells me, well, get in the back of the police car and I'll drive you home, right? Well, I'm like wasted, right? So I'm like, well, wait a minute, I got to get my book bag, right? So, because I was going to college at the time. So I go back to my car, I take my book bag, I unzip it, I dump my books out of the book bag, I take my bong, I throw it in the book bag, and that half empty half gallon or little bit that was left in it, threw it in the book bag, zipped it back up, jumped in the back of the cop car, and he drove me home, you know. And I'm like, man, I can't believe I'm getting away with this, right? So that was on a Saturday night. And on Monday, I was going to Henry Ford Community College at the time. I run into my buddy. He goes, hey, I heard my dad gave you a ride home Saturday. I said, oh, that's how I said, I wondered how I got away with that. He goes, he thought you were a little slow. You know?
Ah, that's funny.
But you know, I mean, unfortunately, I didn't learn my lesson, right? So my brother, he felt bad for me, and he got a job at Chrysler, right? So he was driving a Ford Ranger. So he sold me this Ford Ranger, okay? And because he was working for Chrysler, so he wanted to drive a Chrysler car because he lucked out and got in this executive training program. So he was kissing ass, right? So he gave me a sweetheart deal on this Ranger. Like, I forget what I paid for it, $1,500 or some shit, right? I bought it on a Saturday, right? And my buddy, he was a bartender at U of M. Uh, and he worked at Dooley's. It was a bar back in the 80s at U of M. And on Saturday, well, no, what was that? I bought it on a Sunday, drove up there, and I totaled that truck. I had that truck for 6 days, right? Before I ended up totaling it. And that another time, drunk driving ticket. Driving down, I was so drunk, and you know, my buddy's like, "Oh, stay here the night, stay here the night." I'm like, "No, I'm driving home." You know, didn't get 5 blocks away from his house, blew off a red blinking light, T-boned someone, and drunk driving ticket, got arrested. Uh, but you know, seemed like I never learned back then. Eventually, I did. But that's why I kind of enjoy smoking in today's environment. It's, you know, I don't have that same craziness in my life that what I did when I was drinking.
Yeah, I don't miss it myself. The uncertainty of where I'm waking up, how I'm getting home, if I'm going to be sick the next day, or even be able to function. Yeah, I don't miss any of that. The bad decisions, you know. Yeah, I don't condone those who drink. I don't mind being around people that do drink. But yeah, for me, eh, I could do without. I could do without these days.
Right. And it's, right. It's a personal thing and it's not for me. Right. Like I told you, my friends drink up, I have parties at my house. I have no problem with people, you know, partying because shit, I was a partier. I just couldn't handle it. Right. I mean, unfortunately, I can abuse my personality. Right. I'll just be blatantly honest. Right. Anything that brings me pleasure, I can abuse. Right. And that's drugs, that's sex, that's money, that's power. I mean, I if I don't closely pay attention to it, I can abuse it because I don't know what it is. I don't, I don't know. I'm a genetically mutated or some shit. I don't know.
It's a lot of people have tendencies to overindulge on a lot of those things. That's for sure. But for me, I don't know. I guess I do the cannabis right now too because I still smoke from the time I get up till the time I go to bed. So I guess you know, I didn't drink that heavy though. Well, I drank that heavy, but it wasn't that often where I drank from the time I got up till the time I went to bed. It was just once I started, it wasn't stopping until I was fucked up. That was the problem with the alcohol. The ending was always the same, getting fucking completely fucked up.
Yeah, that was my problem. I ended up being a blackout drinker. Now I didn't black out every time I drank, right? But I would joke with my buddies if I didn't black out, I would say, oh, I just put a buzz on, because it was, unfortunately, I like to drink and I drank a lot. I was an idiot, you
I, uh, I can tell you, I can say this for alcohol. Uh, la- some of my best times are cannabis related, but my funniest stories Are all alcohol related. I guess it's because the alcohol brought up the stupid part of things of me. To be honest with you, but yeah, I have a ton of funny alcohol stories, but I have a lot of fun cannabis stories. But the funny stories are alcohol related for sure.
Oh yeah. My buddy, when I quit drinking, how I determined my real friends was once I told him I quit drinking, the people that, you know, never offered me another drink, right, were my true friends. And those individuals are still my friends today, right? If someone offered me a drink twice after I told them I quit drinking, really, I kind of disassociate myself with them, right? That's how I determined kind of who my true friends were. And really, those individuals, I still have lifelong friendships with a handful of individuals. And that's how I determined who were my lifelong friends, right? And when I quit drinking, they were appreciative, right? They were like, God, you were a fucking idiot, you know? And my one of my best drinking buddies, I would go out with you just to see the crazy shit you would do, right? Because it would
Yeah,
like if we were smoking, I was the designated driver, right? If we were drinking, he was the designated driver, right? So we kind of each played our role. So I was a better stoner driver, and he was a better drunk driver. His dad was the fire chief, so that always helped too. Uh,
it's uh, it's kind of funny though that says something about friends though. I guess that I went out with you because I'd see what you do. I mean, that's terrible support if you think about it. I was just taking you out to see how bad you'd fuck yourself up, man. Well, thanks, Chief.
well,
uh,
I did some stupid, crazy shit, right? Alcohol just impaired my judgment, right? I mean, weed may let me, I may forget things, right? But I don't have the huge impairment of judgment as when I was drinking, right? Uh, I mean, the crazy shit I did, you know. I walked up to some guy in a bar because he was talking to a girl I wanted to talk to, right? He had these big ass pork chop sideburns, right? I walked up to him, grabbed both of his sideburns, and just yanked them, right? Don't ask me why. I was just drunk, right? Sat back down in my chair and laughed, right? Just stupid stuff, right? Uh, I would never do that if I wasn't drinking. I would never do that kind of stupid shit. You know what I mean? If I was smoking, I wouldn't walk up to someone and pull their sideburns. You know?
So, what position did you play in hockey, if you don't mind me asking?
I played defense. Uh, Pretty much my entire career. When I was you know, you start off in mites, right? And I'm kind of a stocky person, right? When I was a kid, they used to call it husky, you know, go to Sears and buy the husky jeans, you know. Uh, I was a fat kid, right? But so I always played defense. And that's probably why my hips got screwed up because you're always skating backwards, right? You're always wiggling your ass. Uh, I don't know. I always joke it was from hockey or too many lap dances at the titty bar, one or the other. I don't know which one.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, one's more enjoyable than the other, though. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, they're both good times. Both good times.
Yeah, but I really, I heard in high school I played hockey, but to get in shape for hockey, I actually wrestled, right? I think in an episode you said you were a wrestler or you did wrestle too.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. All the way through school and then some. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ah,
My real
yep.
good friend,
140. 140 I wrestled all through school. Little guy. Little guy. Wrestling.
well, hard to believe, but I wrestle. I think it was like 145, wasn't it? 142 and 145 or something like that. Shit. I don't know. I think I wrestled. I don't know the exact weight, but like one up above there, it was 140 something.
And 145 was the next.
Okay, I was 145, but I was terrible because my nickname was Pear, right? I I was not a wrestler, right? I didn't have the upper body strength uh, that you know real wrestlers have, right? I was doing it because my buddy was doing it, and I did it to get in shape to play hockey. I enjoyed hockey. I was a pretty good hockey player. I was a shitty wrestler, right? Uh, but it was fun, right? I enjoyed it.
I could see that being good in both aspects, really. I mean, a lot of running in wrestling. A lot of running in wrestling, that's for sure. And then you use that upper body strength when you're fucking throwing those blows on the ice there. That would definitely come in handy, that's for sure.
Yeah, I remember. You know, I was a senior in high school or a junior in high school or something. And in hockey, we were in the playoffs, right? And uh, I had to miss a wrestling match, right? And my coach didn't like that, right? And he said, "Well, you got to make a decision. Which sport do you want to play?" I said, "Well, okay, I guess I'll play hockey then. See ya." You know, because I wasn't any good. And you know, I had fun. I was in good shape, right? But I wasn't. I wasn't gonna. You know, I wasn't a star. That's for damn sure, right?
Well, for me, the choice was either football or wrestling. and I'd cut the football and kept the wrestling myself.
No, most of my friends played football, and unfortunately, a lot of them have lifelong injuries from fucking high school football. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
It's like, what the fuck, you know? Because back then there were some nut job coaches, you know. Send them in, boy, over there hurt, who care, you know. I'm sure that's probably still happening today, but back then it was, you know,
pride, team pride.
right. And
That's for sure.
and I guess, you know, the worst part about it is my one buddy, like I didn't play football. I played hockey and wrestled, but most of my friends played football. And I guess during a scrimmage, my two of my other buddies set my other buddy up, and that's what caused his lifelong injury. So his own friends fucked him up because his knee,
That's
right?
as we speak of it, and I see his name there in chat. Jack Greenstock was one of those football injuries right there that we're talking about. Lifelong football injuries from youth football. That shit's sad. To carry on something like an injury for something you didn't even get paid for. You know what I mean? So early on in life, it's kind of a tough thing. That's for sure.
No, that it is. Yeah, that's why I played hockey. It's a more civilized sport. You know, you don't get, you know, I was very fortunate. I didn't get hurt. I might have hurt a couple of people, but I remember one of my proudest moments was skating off the ice after I ended up hurting two people on the same, you know, shift. So when I skate off the ice, there was two guys laying on the ice from the opposing team.
Well, that's one of the things that you loved about hockey, though, was occasional fights.
I didn't.
Some good fights.
I was fortunate enough. I played for 12 years, and the only time I got in a fight is when we got in a team fight. But I was fortunate enough where if you intimidate people enough on the ice, they don't want to fight you, right? They don't want, you know, you fucking go screaming at them and smash them into the boards. They don't want to fight you, you
You
know.
could see one or two good checks in the first period to keep you out of that kind of thing the rest of the game. See one of their buddies go flying out the board, like you say. Yeah, you might want to stay away from that cat over there.
That's why I enjoyed hockey because I did take my frustration and the anger. Because growing up, I did have a lot of anger, uh, you know, and I definitely took my anger out on the ice. That's for sure, right? And that's probably, you know, caused part of my drinking problem, right? Having a lot of anger. Uh, but luckily, I was able to work through that. And today, you know, I don't have that, right? That's why, you know, I do, you know, I don't, I'm not a preacher of AA, that's for damn sure, but it is a good program for those individuals who need it. It's not for everybody, but it teaches you some basic principles that you can live by and become a good human being, you know, and become, you know, someone that you know, you have self-respect, you know, you learn gratitude, um, and I appreciate that because it's far from where I was headed.
It's funny that you bring the AA thing up. That it's funny because I kind of come from a weird background. I'm not going to get too into all that, but I actually found a token when I was, I don't know, fuck, it had been like 16 or something like that. And it was turned out to be a AA coin, but the mantra on it there kind of hit home. You know what I mean? I carry it in my pocket just to help me, remind me to get me through my problems. Of course, I was way young, and obviously he wasn't having alcohol problems back then, but it did. There was something about that mantra that helped me, get through some shit. And it was funny because I actually showed it to my wrestling coach at that time, and he was like, "Man, that's a fucking alcoholic one. You know, somebody that's an alcoholic." And I'm like, "No, I found this." He's like, "Yeah, that's what it is." It kind of took away from it just a little bit, but I still carried it until I fucking lost it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know one of the sayings was "to thy own self be true" or something. Uh, but anyways, there's a lot
That
of them.
was that wasn't that one. I can't remember it. It's been so long now,
Yeah, who
but
knows, right? There's a lot of them. But this is about cannabis, not about that. But you know, part of my history is, you know, like a story about my family or where I come from about the drinking part, right? Come from immigrants, right? Because alcohol was accepted. My grandma would tell me this story, right? Her mom, right, had a still down her basement, and it was like in the movies, right? You'd have this wall, and it would be the canning jars on all the wall, and then you'd push the wall, and then the still was behind the damn, you know, behind the wall of canning jars, right? And this was back in the during the Depression, during the 20s, right? Well, not during the Depression, but during Prohibition. And my grandma, the way she would deliver this, moonshine, she'd fill up a 5 gallon pickle jar or pickle barrel, right? Put it in a baby carriage, pull a blanket over the baby carriage, and then push that down the street, right? And then that's how she would deliver the moonshine, right, or the bootleg liquor. Uh, so growing up, it was just commonplace, My uncle, right? He was a very successful individual. He owned a company, but he had a hobby of making wine, right? And because part of our heritage, they like to drink wine. Well, he owned his business, right? And one year, he had a knock at the door, and all of a sudden the ATF's there and the IRS are there, and they're asking him, can he explain what's the $700 worth of grapes that he wrote off on his taxes, right? Because he had this winemaking operation in his business, right? And then he would give this wine away, right? So he just figured out, well, shit, he'll expense it as a business item, right? Well, after the IRS came and the ATF came knocking at his door and explained that, you really couldn't do that. And, but he really didn't get in much trouble about it. But I just always thought it was funny, right? Uh, so it just kind of explains, drinking was very commonplace in my family. It was just part of how I grew up. And so I like cannabis much better. It doesn't get me in trouble. I do have fun times. I don't have the funny stories or the stupid stories that I have right uh, when I was drinking. Uh, you know, crazy episodes. Uh, so.
So, what are some of your favorite strains that you've liked to smoke since we became legal, man? There's been a smorgasbord of things to try. What have some of your favorite flavors been?
Well, that's where I'm a little shallow. I don't go to the dispensary much, right? I was pretty
No,
much getting it from my buddy, right? And because he was growing real good smoke, right? And it was top notch. It didn't have really a name. He's been growing it for 10 years, and it was always been treated me good, right? And he's very reasonable because he's my next door neighbor, 2 doors away, right? I sold him a boat, so gave him a real good deal on a boat. So he treats me real good, right? Or did in the past. So it was like, why am I go to the dispensary and pay double what he's giving me? You know what I mean? And
Right.
I'm not much of a weed snob, I'll be honest with you, right? As long as it, you know, gives me what I'm looking for and it tastes okay, I'm perfectly content, right? I'm definitely not a weed snob. Uh, Far from that. I'm probably just the opposite. Uh, but I do like good cannabis. Don't get me wrong, right? But I'll smoke bad stuff too, right? I won't enjoy it, but it is what it is. Uh, but that's why I do like growing. So right now, I grew. So when I first started, I didn't know anything, right? Sometimes I jump into things with both feet. Sometimes, since I'm single and a bachelor, I got more money than brains. So I do shit before I really even know what the fuck I'm doing, right? So I bought all kinds of seeds and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I bought all kinds of autoflowers, right? And some, but then I really didn't understand about autoflowers, right? So I was keep transplanting them and they weren't growing very good, right? So I had Northern Lights, I had Train Wreck, those two were autoflowers. I had Purple OG Kush, that was that was feminized seeds. That was two, and that was the first kind of one I grew. And I really didn't know what I was doing the first time I grew, right? My first run. I totally forgot when I only had one room at that time. And when I changed my lights, I didn't realize I went from 18 hours down to, and I changed them to 14 hours. So I never even went to a 12-hour cycle my first run, right? But it turned, it did work with 14 hours, but it wasn't, wasn't the best, but it was like, well, I was still happy. It was my first time. And then when I went to go set it back for my next run of veg, that's when I realized I'm like, wait a minute, I messed that up. I didn't have that set right. Uh,
So I'm curious, how were the flowers on a 14-hour day?
they were fine. They were just small, right? Uh,
Were they autos? Were they autos? Or were
some of
they
them
a
were autos,
regular
and
photo?
some were that purple haze or purple OG. No, purple Kush. Yeah, purple Kush. But for some reason, that really, really stretched for me. I mean, crazy stretch compared to anything else I had. Now I still got a couple seeds of that, and I'm gonna retry it now that I kind of know what the hell I'm doing, right? Uh, and give it another try. Uh, so right now, I got sour diesel going. I got OG Kush going. I got that Gorilla Glue 4 going. Now, these are all seeds, so they may not be the true, whatever. But, and then I just popped some gelato seeds. So we'll see how that is. And what,
So how was tell us about your first grow there. When you first started growing, what was it like, and what was you growing on that first run?
yeah, my first grow, like I said, I went organic. So I started playing around on the internet to see what I wanted to do, right? And started watching some videos. And I came across that one guy, first guy came, it had nothing to do with weed, right? He's about growing organically, and he grows those microgreens, and he talks a million miles an hour, and he lives in Las Vegas and stuff, right?
I know who
Uh,
you're talking about. I can't. The
yeah,
Voodoo Garden. I want to say it's a Voodoo Garden guy,
I
Josh
don't.
Micro. I know who. I can't. I know exactly who you're talking about, but he's a great source of knowledge right there.
Yeah, for
That
organic stuff. So I
gentleman.
started watching him, and then he coincidentally had a few cannabis videos, right? And then I came across this video, and he was interviewing this woman grower, and then she was talking about this TLO book, right? This Total Living Soil, or I think by the Rev, right? So I ended up buying that book, right? And then I read that and I'm like, oh, let's try organic, And then so I went with kind of a super soil based. I followed somewhat I'm not good at following people's directions, right? Because sometimes I think I know better, right? I'm a dumbass at times, based on, I think I'm too smart for my own good, I don't need to listen to him. And then I learned, well, I probably should have listened to him, you know. Uh, so I kind of watched a bunch of videos, and I kind of followed his, to a degree, his basic recipe, right? And then added some more stuff. And then I didn't like his ideas. I didn't like follow his ideas about spikes and layers and, planting shit. And I just kind of followed his super soil recipe. And then now I've deviated from that based on watching other YouTube videos and other, I've kind of buy a lot of books now and read the books. Uh, like it was nice having that, watching your show on Jeff Lonesfell. I've bought all three of his books, and I'll be honest with you, I'm after you know I'm terrible at pronouncing words, right? And I'm trying to fucking read that book, and I'm college educated, supposedly, and fuck, I can't pronounce it. So I'm trying to fucking make up some of these words, right? So I would love to listen to that on audio. Hearing that, listening to you about you listening to those on audio, that I'm definitely gonna get those books on audio and go through them again.
Oh, there's so much of a better listen, especially if you have the books that you can like refer to. Like if you've already had the books, and then you can refer back to it if you need to for like a visual. But man, if you're, yeah, they're. I love listening to audiobooks, especially when I'm in the garden and you're already in that kind of like mindset anyway. Of organics and whatnot. Tends to stick a little bit better, but man, I definitely enjoyed the audiobooks for sure.
Right. And like I made some mistakes on my first, but you learn, right? Like I was only using 3 gallon pots, right? Well, well, you can't grow very big plants with 3 gallon organic pots, right? I had the light set wrong to 14 hours, right? But it was still smokable, but it was still good medicine. I still enjoyed it, and uh, since I'm on I I kind of do the perpetual grow like yourself, right? So I'm harvesting plants maybe every month, every 3 weeks, a couple plants, right? So it's kind of like a continuous improvement ever since then, right? And at first I would still have to get a little bit of bud from my neighbor, right? And then eventually, shit, I haven't had to get any from him in over a year now, right? And it's kind of funny because, I don't mean, I shouldn't say this. I apologize, right? But he's gotten clones off of me twice, right? And he's been growing 10 years, right? And I just started growing, right? but I don't want to jinx myself. He has a problem with a certain item where his temperatures drop, right? And, you know, I don't want to jinx myself because I know I'm going to get it. I'm a newbie. I've been fortunate. I know everybody gets it. If you grow long enough, you will get it. I understand that. I've been fortunate enough not to get it yet, right? Uh, so the last 2 years, right around December, right, he gets it, and now last 2 years I've given him clones, right? Uh, but I just I don't know where I was going with that. Kind of stoned on that one.
Uh, well, it says that your skill set's come a long way in the last little while. Doesn't it feel good not to have fucking to buy it? Oh man, it's so painful now when you do run out and you have to buy some. It's like, oh man, I've got to get my shit under control. That's the thing. When I pull out my money for cannabis anymore, I'm like, oh man, I have if I have to, I'm like, man, that's I have got to get my shit under control. I haven't bought cannabis in about 5 years, unless I'm on the road and I haven't rolled enough for the road trip. Then I'll stop in. I'm not afraid to pull in and get a few grams to finish the trip home. That's for sure. Or to get some. I do stop for concentrates because I don't make a lot of concentrates, so I do stop into a few places when I'm downstate, grab some some stuff to dab on. But I don't ever buy flour. I'll only dabble extract. But yeah, it's a
No,
painful
and
experience.
no, and that's me. I'm too stubborn, right? I mean, because for what I can grow it for versus what I gotta pay for it, it's like I got I'm very fortunate right now in that I can't smoke as much as I grow, right? And I don't really sell it. I give it away to my, some buddies, but I don't really when I retire, I'll become a caregiver, but I have a fairly decent job where I don't really want to jeopardize my career uh, you know, for a, I don't want I know you can make good money doing it, but comparatively speaking, for what I could sell, it's not relatively worth it for me at this point in my career. Um, I got 5 years to retire, and then all bets are off, right? And I would like to become a caregiver or look into that micro business license, right? Uh, but the problem is, I think what I have to do first, though, is run for mayor, right? And get my little community to change, right? Because you can get a license, but if you there, none of the communities right now are being opened up, right? There's so few communities that are allowing it, right? You can want to start a business, but if your fucking community or no communities around you are going to allow it, you know. So I'm thinking about, well, I'll do what, it was kind of funny when I was a kid. This this real rich guy in the local community, he wanted to open up a trailer park, right? City wouldn't let him open up a trailer park. You know, that's beneath our city. You know, he became mayor, got the bylaws changed, opened up a fucking trailer park, right? So I'm thinking about, well, maybe in retirement, right? Run, another 5 years, hopefully run for mayor, and get this damn little city to change their opinion, right? Uh, because some of these cities got to start opening it up, right? Uh,
You're exactly right, and it might as well be somebody like yourself that has the common sense to go in there and go, "Hey, listen, it's we're fighting a losing battle. Sooner or later, somebody with enough money is going to come forcing their way into our community, and then they're going to open it up anyways. So why don't we preempt this, this thing? Put, have somebody from our community step up and make some money in front to the community versus, somebody that's going to come in here with a large amount of money and take money out of the community. We might as well start it first and keep the money here in our community, and versus, vice versa. We might as well get ahead of the game and be open and start, cashing in on it before somebody else forces us to open it up and then is pulling money from the community. That's the way I've seen it, like in Oklahoma. Like, uh, same type of problem. It's a good community, good people that have grown up, under good morals, and now this cannabis thing has popped its head up. And why wouldn't you want, your fellow community members to be the first ones to open the door versus, somebody, some big corporation that's going to come in, want tax breaks. They might initially do something small for the community, but then they're going to turn around, want huge tax breaks, and then they're going to pull out as much money out of the community as possible. So why wouldn't you want to be ahead of the game and set yourself up correctly before you're forced to be into it? That's, it only makes sense.
And I think as cannabis, I hate to say it, but you know, I'd like to change the, people probably won't know what reference this is because I'm so, referencing a damn 1980s movie, but Spicoli, right, in Ridgemont High, right? We got to change the image of a stoner, right, or someone that smokes cannabis, right? And it's not all Spicolis, right? And it's not just all, couch potatoes. People become, very productive individuals and can smoke cannabis, uh, myself, you know, well, I don't want to go there, so let's just leave it alone.
I've seen a lot of lawyers. It's funny is that, the lawmakers are the first people that are guilty of smoking cannabis. That's for sure. And it's funny that you bring that up because it's a lot of suit and tie people that actually use cannabis, but they're afraid to be able to let their hair down and say it. I mean, there are some great lawyers though, like the Pop Brothers. There we have. Matt Abel here in Michigan, but there are a few, and they're the examples. So I think they're the examples of what real law is kind of like. They go home, blow it off their steam, smoke one, go over some law books. And I don't think it hinders I don't look down at him. I honestly wouldn't look down at my lawyer if he sat before the courthouse and smoked a joint before my case. I wouldn't be like, oh no, I'm going to jail. But if I seen that cat out front with a drink in his hand, I'd be like, oh, I might be going to jail today. I would definitely be wondering. But yeah,
Taking a
I
nip
think
from a
people that
flask.
yeah, I think people that smoke cannabis are very confident in what they do. I'm a construction. That's skill trades. um, I've seen many buildings, many projects get done with people smoking cannabis, and it was like never a laggy day, very productive day. Things getting done on point, very square, to the mark, and yeah, I wouldn't say cannabis ruined any of it. You know, just made the day go by quicker, made the guys hurt less, and made the day definitely more enjoyable. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, white collar. I worked for the U.S. Department of Treasury, for 12 years as a bank examiner, and uh, kind of the only time I ever quit smoking cannabis was in between graduating from college and getting that job in case I got piss test, right? Uh, but the crazy thing was, for that job, all you had to do, I was all nervous. I quit smoking because I figured, okay, I don't want to lose this job, right? That's a pretty damn good job right out of college. And they asked me the question, right? Do you do drugs? No. Sign this thing. You will be committing perjury if you do. Like, give me that thing. Signed it away, and the next day I was probably lighting up.
And unlucky wants to know what about my doctor? Fuck yeah. Let that motherfucker fire up before my surgery. I wouldn't even care there either. I would definitely not even give a shit if it was my doctor. In fact, I would more so, you know, hell, they're not smoking as far as I know right now, and they got motherfuckers got to go in and mark my leg or whatever they're working on so they can hit the right motherfucking thing. Do you think I'm going to let a joint infect that when they can't? They're so they literally before you go into surgery, if they're working on your leg, they come in like fucking a half hour before. They put an X on your leg so they know this is the leg we're supposed to be working on. Yeah, I think I got room for a cannabis joint in there for them. I would rather them be calm and just no anxiety, sure-handed. Oh yeah, any day, any day. Go ahead, Doc. You do what you got to do. You come in whenever you're ready. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my doctor could smoke. I'd be good with that. So
Yeah.
to trust the pilot that flew me across the country, I would trust. Yeah. Go ahead, Chief. Fire up. I'd be good with that. I would honestly be good with that. Sorry, Detroit
No,
River
no,
Rat. I
no.
didn't mean
I
to cut you off.
I don't disagree with you. I just don't think it impairs your judgment or your motor functions as much as other substances do, you know. And why is it okay to take?
Especially a frequent user. I'd hope my doctor, the only way I would think that would be a bad thing is if my doctor was like not smoking, a regular smoker. You know what I mean? I would hope that, yeah, he's actually rolling one and smoking before on every break or whatever. But yeah, I think the only way it'd be in a bad way is like if that doctor never smoked and for some reason that month was that month or that year was the one time he was going to decide to smoke before surgery. Yeah, maybe in that instance, but I would hope my doctor that's smoking that joint is a regular smoker, not just some. I'm going to smoke a random joint before my surgery today. Yeah, yeah. In that case, it may be a little different story. Hopefully, he's a normal everyday smoker, not just a random smoker.
Well, I hate to admit it, but I know a doctor, right, and a surgeon or urologist, right, and I met him in AA, right, and you know, I mean, he's admitted to doing surgeries in a blackout. That's fucking scary.
So, and again, let's put this in perspective. Uh, a lot of times that these you don't. This is geared to the person in chat here. Uh, you don't think that those same doctors, are doing some other type of drug? I mean, a lot of times, some doctors are putting in 24 to 48 hour days and then doing surgery on your ass. You feel that's better than a doctor that would be smoking occasionally? I'm actually scared of the guy that's all wired out and fucking thinking he's not that the guy on any kind of other speed that would keep him going for 48 hours would be Yeah, once you get that past that 24-hour mark of not sleeping, man, you get a little fucking crazy. Yeah, I'd much rather my doctor smoke that joint, take that fucking weed nap before my surgery, come back all clear headed and ready to go, all positive attitude, versus the guy that's been up forever, all fucking stressed out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I gotta go back to my original opinion of, yeah, please, doc. Smoke before saving my life. You've come back with a clear head, steady hand, and a positive attitude. Hell yeah.
That's a, I don't want to know, right? I mean, when I had my hip surgery, right? They were, they were explaining what they were going to do and how they were going to fucking saw off my bone and all that shit. And I'm like, I don't really want to know, right? Just do what you got to do, right? And I'll do my recovery, right? But you don't got to explain what you got to do. That's your, just do what you got to do. I don't, you know, but I don't know. I'm going to make sure the next time I go, I've heard you talk and I've heard a few people talk, and I must have not told my anesthesiologist that I smoke weed because I woke up twice during my fucking surgery, right? One when the saw was going, right? So you wake up and you hear this fucking saw going, right? And then they put you back, and I'm talking waking up for, maybe 2 seconds, right? 3 seconds, right? Enough to move and they realize you're awake and they put you back under, right? And then I woke up again when they were beating in like the ball to my hip, right? Because they cut your bone off and then they beat in a ball, new ball, right? And I woke up and I felt my leg going like this while when he was beating in the fucking ball, that was kind of trippy. But
Man, I bet. Oh, jeez.
you know, but overall, it was a very good experience, and I'll definitely go back to him for my other one. I'm just waiting for all this COVID stuff to go away. I don't really want to spend too much time in the hospital, right now.
Overall, it was a pretty good experience. I have nightmares of hammering in that thing in my bone once in a while, but works great. Holy cow. Oh, man. That
I was walking
uh,
upstairs the next day. Wait, 2 days later, 2 days, the next day, they had me fucking walking up these rehab stairs the next day. Crazy
it's crazy.
what they can do now.
Yeah, it's,
But, it is good.
yeah. Yeah, they do some crazy work these days. I actually had one time when I had a bilateral hernia surgery and I woke up mid surgery like that. Well, they didn't put me out because of I admitted to smoke. I had to go to a spinal block because I admitted that day of smoking cannabis the night before. I lied. I would, in most cases, I would have lied, and but for some reason they spooked me. You could die. Your lungs could, you could get all shallow lungs, and they could stick from the resin from the cannabis in your lungs. And I was like, oh shit, really? Yeah, I smoked. I smoked today. So they went through like a spinal block, and I was awake through most of that fucking surgery. And I tell you what, man, I ended up fighting. I ended up having a nurse like hold my hand and fucking like pet my head and talk to me most of the surgery because I had like a veil like right here, and they had me opened up from hip to hip, and with like a flap opened up, and I kept wanting to look. I kept struggling, wanting to see past the curtain, and they're like, "No, dude, lay back, lay back." And I'm like, they just sitting there fucking talking to me. It's up, be all right. That was the worst fucking surgery I ever went through. Right there, was being awake all completely through that whole thing. So, oh man, I've been
Yeah,
put back together a few times myself, brother. Too
that would
many
not be
times.
fun. Yep.
Oh man, it's That's why I try to stay in better shape as I get older because, man, I know I'm just fighting the inedible, man. Once, once my body starts locking up, man, it's going to be rough. Rough. From all them injuries.
No, and that's it's kind of my problem because I have an office job for my real job, but I got some rental houses on the side, so I kind of enjoy doing that type of work. Right, I'm kind of handy with my, I shuffle papers for my job, right? So I enjoy kind of working with my hands, right, for a side thing, and so that's when, I'll be painting baseboards or be on my knees a lot, right? Doing a lot of work on my knees. And that's when usually I pay the price with my bad hip. But, you know, um, but otherwise I'm in pretty good shape. But I know you do a lot, that's kind of what you do or you did was more carpentry work. And I kind of enjoy that. It's kind of nice building something. You start off with nothing and you end up with a nice piece of some. I think I heard you talking about making a bookshelf or making a fireplace kind of not enclosure, but bookcase type thing. And you know it is nice. I don't have that type of skill set, right? But it is fun doing that, right?
Oh, I do miss it. And, I still do it from time to time. Uh, but there's nothing better than looking back at a job well done. And the gratitude. I always hated, I love to work so much. I actually love it just as much as what I do now. And there was something that gratitude of going in and fixing somebody's problem. You know, going in and it was all fucked up, and you came in and it was actually not only fixed but better than it was in most cases. And that's fucking pretty awesome. I love that gratitude. And it's always hard to turn over a bill at the end of the day and be like, yeah, I know you just showered me with a ton of thank yous and this is, but here you gotta pay me. Here's the bill. It always spoils that moment, and I always hated handing the bill over. It's always the shitty part of the job.
Well, it's part of life, right? They work to get paid. You will work to get paid, right? And when you do a good job, you know, eh, there's nothing a problem with getting paid for it. You earned it, you know. And it sounds like you enjoyed doing a good job and you took pride in the work you did. So, you know, nothing the matter with
It's
getting paid
definitely.
for that.
Yeah.
Those
And
fuckers that,
the gratitude is the best part of it, though. Honestly, I enjoy the smiles. You know, the way I see it, honestly, is in most times is they pay for the material. I'm just out the time. You know what I mean? Fuck,
right?
just do something good like that. Dankovich is asking your lungs could stick. Yeah, honestly, you can. They can. If you're a heavy smoker, you get down to such shallow breathing when you're in anesthesiology, when you're put under, that if you take such a shallow breath, your lungs could actually touch and not reinflate. They could actually touch and stick, and you could struggle to pull them back apart with your shallow breath. So that's what they worry about with the smoking. Heavy smokers and smoking right before surgery is what I've always been told when it comes to anesthesiology. So yeah. He was
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of
sure
going,
that.
"Oh shit!" Sorry, go ahead, Detroit River
No,
Rat.
I'm sure they told me that, but I'm sure I just forgot about it, you know. But I'm pretty open with my smoking with the doctors. Uh, I'll be honest, when I was younger, I wouldn't admit it, but now that I'm older and I got this young doctor, I just got a new doctor, and then And I was just honest with him, right? And he's like, oh, but I told him, I said, hey, I haven't drank in 27 years, but this is my release. And and he's like, oh, I'd rather have you smoke than drink, you know? So he's kind of all for me smoking. So that was, you know, it was a good change, right? And I'm sure it's a generational thing because he's a younger big guy.
Well, it is nice to see him be a little bit more open minded about it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, because I figure I might as well be honest with him because now that HIPAA, right, that law, they can't share any of your medical information with your employer or with anybody, right? So why not be honest with them, right? Um, so I was always worried
I
about
still
that.
I still keep a fucking medical license because of the HIPAA rights. To be honest with you, you know, I feel that if ever anything there's any kind of problems like on a job or whatever, I do retain that right. So and that's a lot of things people should keep in mind. Just
No,
because it's recreational in your state, you know, if they find it in your system, like say you get hurt on a job, they find marijuana in their system, they can actually blow off your workman's comp just like you were drinking on the job. So you have to be aware of that. So in having a medical license, retaining your medical card can save you in that instance for protect you against getting fired. And even if you did get fired, you still could retain unemployment benefits and whatnot because it was a medical issue and not a recreational issue. There's tons of reasons to keep that card, that's for sure.
yeah, I got mine. That's for sure. And you know, uh, and also it doesn't hurt to have it for driving too, right? You just because in case it's in your system for some odd reason, right? At least you have that card, right? And you know, and then at least you have a legitimate reason why it's in your system. So who knows?
Just reading chat there, telling me if I want to watch surgeries, look up surgical lights. No, I don't want to watch surgeries. It's not something I like there.
Now
Makes me a little squirmish, to be honest with you.
all those medical shows, I just turn the channel when they're showing body, them cutting open a body. I don't like that one bit.
I can't believe there's a niche for that, man. Like that Dr. Pimple Popper and shit like that. I can't believe how people want to watch that shit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't get it. I kind of agree. I enjoy that. Tonight I'm probably, I watched that Oak Island thing. I do like that show. I don't watch too much TV,
Ah,
but I do like a few
I
shows.
watched it too. I'm a fan. That's it. I was telling Cass today that was the only fucking show I watch right there. Is fucking Oak Island. It's getting good, man. They fucking found another road tonight. I didn't even get to watch it, all of it, man. I'm so frustrated. I don't I don't have cable here. I live in the fucking woods. It's a bitch to get cable out here. I do have satellite, but I don't mess with the satellite TV. I just basically have it for internet. And so I don't even watch TV. I pay for fucking Hulu so I can watch one fucking show. That's The Curse of Oak Island live when it comes on, or I can record it. And I shit you not, every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, I sit right here and I watch it seemingly in like 5 fucking second intervals. It's like 10 seconds of video, buffer, 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 10 seconds of video, buffer, buffer, buffer. It took me almost 2 hours to watch tonight's episode, and I never even fucking made it all the way through it. But it's getting good. That's I'm hooked, man. I'll sit there and like watch it through the buffer, man. They're actually finding some good shit. So don't spoil the ending for me, because I'm gonna rewatch it later.
Okay. Yeah, it's just continuation, you know. I kind of like it. They're Michigan guys, you know, and it's kind of a nice mystery, right? And you know, it's good for that brother with the deep pockets because fuck who, you know, they can't be making that much money off the show to keep funding this thing. So that those Craig and the brother must have some fucking deep pockets.
Some of that I think they in like are enlisting some of the companies in with like, if we find anything, you're a part, you know, taker in it or something like that. So they're almost, I think they donate some services to the project, but I could be wrong on that. I'm not far from Traverse City. I'm always hoping when I run over there that I'm gonna fucking run into Ulrich and shit. Hey, buddy, you want to smoke one? You bet your ass I'll ask fucking Rick or Marty if I fucking see him over there. You cats want to burn one? Talk about fucking Oak Island? Hell yeah.
Yep, I you know, oh, he owns a winery, so he's I'm sure he enjoys partying a little bit.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he does too. Have you ever seen the winery?
Just on that one episode where they showed it, it looked pretty damn nice.
Yeah, where he had like he had like the tunnels underneath the winery and shit. It was pretty cool the way he had it set up.
I didn't see all that.
Yeah, he's got tunnels under the winery, and he's got his own like, it's got its own like Oak Island thing to it. I can't remember, but there's like one stone that's kind of geared off to something that tunnels straight up at certain times. Light comes across and shines down on this one thing, and he didn't tell what was under there, but it had the real Oak Island feel to that tunnel and stuff. But yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool.
That's cool. It made me think of my cousin, right? He bought this house and it ended up being an old bootlegger's house, right? So it had a tunnel from, it had like this it was an old style garage, right? So the whole kind of house is a little bit of like a brick wall all around it, right? It's probably 300 yards from the Detroit River, right? Maybe or so. And but back in the day, it was a bootlegger's house, and there was a tunnel going from the house to the garage, and then from the garage all the way to the river, right? Because back during Prohibition, there's even a book on it, right? Whiskey River. The Detroit River was, you know, I mean, back then there wasn't the steel companies, there wasn't, so the river would freeze, right? And they would drive cars back and forth, and during the summers they would take boats back and forth, right? And it was big bootlegging back in the during Prohibition. But his house, it was kind of crazy like that. It had tunnels and like in part of the house, like part of the house was cement and brick, but the inside of the windows were slanted. So like the people inside of the house could have a better gun range, you know what I mean? So they could have a bigger view than the people in case someone was kind of trying to shoot in. And it had like in the fireplace, right? It had the big ass fireplace, but inside the fireplace, it had metal rings like in the wall so you could actually climb up the damn chimney, right? And in like this study, right? Just like out of the damn movies, there was a paneled wall, right? And like 4 feet up the wall, one of the panels you'd push, and there was another room up in there, right? And it was a it, it was definitely a unique house, right? It was kind of funny because it was a big ass house, right? And so what he did is he bought it, didn't talk to the city, turned it into a three family, right? And tried to rent it out, right? The city fucking caught him and said, fuck you, right? He's for 30 years, right? Because he's just so he converted this to a three family. He's only been having one person live in it for 30 years. So he kind of fucked himself, right? By not being above board, and the city really shoved it to him, right? Uh, because you sometimes in these little towns, you got to be careful. They have the upper hand. You know, I mean, it's hard to fight City Hall. You might as well be nice to them, and they'll be nice to you. Because once they have the upper hand, they got all the power.
Yeah, that's for sure. I did a lot of historical restorations in the city of Flint for the Mott family there. And man, when the historical society comes in and slaps a stop work order on you, it can be difficult and painful because you have to stop work until you can actually go to the next meeting and show them that what you're doing is correct or whatever. And it can slow some projects down. I actually worked I restored a prohibition area house there in Flint, and it was cool as fuck, man. That house was cool on so many levels. It was a big house, but the bottom was set up for bootlegging. It had secret panels, and the whole area that had secret access. You had to know where the secret panel was on the wall to find the door, and it was super cool place. It was 3 stories. Actually had one room in the house that had a mural all the way around the room, this one room, and it was like a slave era mural, and it was there was only 3 of them ever produced by this in particular painter, and one of them. Jacqueline Kennedy had actually come to see this house because it had some historical value because of the Prohibition era connection there. And she seen the mural and had that mural duplicated in the White House, uh, and it's still there today. A duplication of that painting there. So it was like I had to be very careful when we were working in that in a particular room. But man, it was found so many cool things there in that in house. But man, working in with the city can be bare, man. You have to okay everything, especially when you uncover some historical connection with it, like you're saying there. It can be tough. You might not be able to do anything with that house in the future. You might have to just fix it and let it be the historical structure that it was. One other funny side note about that is when I did work for them, work on them, the houses there, I worked for a very well-to-do family in a trust that was putting money into these houses, and everything was being done right, if not above standards. And the historical society in that town wanted things to be like they didn't want boards changed. We wanted to take we did we ended up money ended up winning, take it down to the skeleton both on the inside and the outside and through stages and reproduce it, the same thing all with new cedar. And we did. We Everything was reproduced, all the cornices and everything we reproduced, redid. Now the house is going to stand for another 200 years. But what they wanted us to do was not do any of that. They wanted us to go through and like say the rotted sections. They wanted us to like bondo in with like a Bondo type material and then sand it down and paint it. They didn't want us to change it and make it stand another couple hundred years. They wanted us to fucking just fuck it up and make it look pretty. We were like, no, no. But money, the foundation ended up winning, and we ended up doing it correct. Thank goodness. But yeah, sometimes you have to really fight for that.
And some people in positions really don't, you know, they think they're doing the best thing, but they really don't, right? They have good intentions, but in reality, they, they should trust the builder, the contractor, what's best, right? Rather than thinking they know best. You know, stick to what you know, right? You know, and that's kind of why I kind of joined this community, right? To gain knowledge on growing, right? I know what I do for a profession very well, and I do it very well, right? I'm fucking clueless on, you know, the growing of cannabis, right? So that's why I like this community, because everybody, you know, is so free with sharing information, right? And at least the shows that I go to, right? There's some ones that I don't really like, right? But the few ones that I go to, right? Everybody's very helpful, right? And they'll answer your questions. And I really like the chat and how, you know, you can ask each other questions or ask the panel questions. And it's, I'm really glad I kind of came across this, right? Uh, and I'm truly enjoying it. That's for sure.
I've met some amazing people in this cannabis community, that's for sure. And that list just grows every day. Every day of the great people that are at this community, that's for sure.
Well, I think a lot of us really appreciate your what you do for the community, right? I'm kind of a goofball in ways where I'm very principle based, and some of these other channels that are monetized or they're doing it for the money, you know, some of them have good content, but it kind of irks me. It's like, get a fucking job. You know, this should be a hobby. You know, that fucking, you know, you should not be trying to fucking make, you know, getting $3 donations. You fucking, you know, I'm sorry, but that it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, you know. I had to quit watching one show that I kind of liked just because of the way the fucking goofball acted a couple weeks ago. You know, the show was humming along good, right? And all of a sudden, oh, we're ending the show. The Patreons can continue watching. You know, everybody have a good night. Like, fuck you, buddy. Fucking unsubscribe. You know, I'll find something else to do on Thursday. You know,
Well, then, that's it shouldn't be like that. The fans only type atmosphere. Either you're a part of the community or you're not. There should be a secret,
well, that's
hi-fi club that doesn't, include you unless you pay. That's to me. That's this is the way I see it. If you have to pay to be somebody's friend, are you really their friend?
I didn't want to say it, but it's like when you're in college and people who join fraternities, right? I would always say that's a rent a friend, right? Who fucking wants a rent a friend, you know? But some of those, you know, I don't want to bash certain shows with patrons because I might join certain shows, right? Because I think they provide enough answers and personalized questions and shit for $5 a month or whatever you got to give them. To me, there's certain ones where I wouldn't mind doing that, right? But there's certain other ones where it's like, fuck you, you know, I ain't doing that, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. And I'm
And
glad
like,
you said it though. Better. I'm glad you said it though.
You know, I don't know. It just bugs me. It's like this is for uh, and actually, I'll tell the audience because I sent you that pipe, right? And it's just my appreciation for what you do for the community, right? You don't fucking put up links. You're not trying to make a buck off us, right? You're doing it out of the love and of growing cannabis and helping each other out, and the enjoyment that you get out of it, right? And that was my token of appreciation for what you do for us, right? Because I found your show through the Michigan Bros. I kept hearing about Eagle, a few shows I was on. I'm like, who's this fucking Eagle, And it I hate to say it, but it kind of fucks me that I have a 9 to 5 job, so I can't watch your show very much. I'm like, I got to get up luckily I'm working remote, so it's easier to get up in the morning, right? Just come roll over to the kitchen table, put a hat on. The problem is nowadays there's all these Zoom meetings, so I got to look professional. But, anyways, sometimes it's just baseball cap. But, anyways, I kept hearing about this Eagle guy, right? And finally, I came across your channel, and ever since, I really enjoy watching just because, we kind of have similar principles, right? You know, I kind of like the way you operate, uh, you know, um, and you're doing it, the love of giving back, right? And the enjoyment that you get out of it, right? And I think, I mean, that's why you're getting some of the fantastic guests you get, right? I don't know that Tim guy with the cup, right? Uh,
Like, yeah.
I mean, he showed his gratitude, right? Us, everybody wants you to be your buddy now. I'm like, fuck, I'll buy his plane ticket. Hey, Eagle, let me tag along. I'll buy your plane ticket out there. I'm just kidding, right? But it's like,
It would be fucking. It's That's gonna be a
oh,
good
that you
time
can't
too.
pass up that fucking. We'll all donate for you, man. We want to see you go on that trip.
You know,
That's a fucking trip of a
you know what's
lifetime.
I know it. You know what's funny is I was talking to my daughter Lexi. She's in chat right now. The other day about stuff like that. I says, I don't, if somebody says they're going to do something for me and it doesn't happen, I never push the issue. And she's like, why? Because we were talking about like contests and stuff. And I'm like, because I don't, if, it's just, I don't feel like I do. If somebody says they do going to do something and they don't, I don't remind them because I feel like it's a burden or whatever. If they wanted to do it, they would have followed through without me having to put the reminder in. So she's like, "Oh, that's stupid. That's stupid." I'm like, "No, not really, not really." But that's I don't do it. If somebody, but the- what I'm getting at is I would have probably let most things go alone, but that I was going to actually take Tim up on that offer. And then shortly after I said that, I got a message from him. He had sent me a DM about what was going on with the Emerald Cup. They had gotten 700 entries and this and that. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome, brother. I totally am plan to come out there next year. And he's like, you bet your ass as my guest, VIP. And I'm like, oh, man. All right, he said it twice now. And he's like, no, for real. I plan, you better, hopefully you will come out here next year. And I'm like, I'm saving already. I'm already throwing dollars aside for it next year. Don't
Right.
worry. But yeah,
Well,
it was
he
pretty
can.
cool because it's like not one of those things I feel like I'm going to have to, when it comes around, I honestly feel like he's going to be like, here you go. I didn't forget you. You know what I mean? I actually think he's that type of guy that will make good on the offer for sure.
He wouldn't offer it if he wouldn't. He's a stand-up guy. You can tell, right? From the way he spoke, right? That guy's a stand-up guy. He's not like that fucking idiot the other night. I'm sorry, but you know, I mean, that guy, Tim. I mean, you could. He's a genuine individual. You know, it would be interesting just to talk to him more, right, one on one, because I'm not going to say I'm a believer in aliens, right? But I'm not a disbeliever, right? I believe that they could exist, right? I'm pretty open minded on things, right? Um, I'm willing to be open minded that they could exist, right? I'm not going to be so close minded to say, oh, no, that can't exist. We could be some
Oh, he
fucking. Go ahead.
he would most definitely be a great, uh, sit around a fire type conversation. A guy to sit around and talk like that, man. The stories, the spirituality aspect of it that he has, the aliens, it would all be great, great conversation. That's for sure. And yeah,
Right. I liked
can't
his
be.
spirituality and the way he carried himself. Right. Because that's what I've learned. It's about gratitude, giving thanks, being appreciative, and being helpful to others. Right. You know, one thing I learned is, you got to give it away to keep it. Right. Uh, and that's in all aspects of life. Right. Uh,
Very true. Very true. So,
you
what
know,
strains do you have currently in the garden right now, if you don't mind me asking?
you want to
Can
go,
I
you
ask you
want to
that?
take a little look?
Sure.
Let
Sure.
me try to dial in. Let me join Zoom with my phone and then we'll take a walk.
If you can, when you get the phone going, just don't start. It'll ask you, bring up the meeting, but don't join the audio until like you've walked away from the computer a
How
little
about
bit,
if I
or
put
turn
this
the
one on
mic
mute?
off.
Yeah, that's what I'll
There
do.
you
I'll
go.
put this one on mute.
There you go. That works.
I'm still a novice.
Got my daughter Lexi hanging out in the chat right there. That's one thing about that's been nice to about the legalization of cannabis is being able to not have to hide the stigma or be a part of the stigma with my kids. There you go.
Yeah, I'll put you. Oh, wait.
You coming in? It's connected. Sometimes it takes just you may have to click the join audio button on the phone.
Yeah, what I had to do start the video too. Right? Is that
There you
working?
go. Yeah.
Okay. I probably should turn this, but let me turn my camera around. Wait a minute.
You
What
just
are you
tap it and
seeing?
up in the. Well, I'm seeing your face. If you tap the phone and up in the left hand corner, usually you can flip the camera to the front side.
Well, we'll just turn it around. Let's see.
I can just barely hear you, but I can see you. Join the audio with the
I
phone.
can't hear you, yeah.
Join the audio with the phone. And then you'll be able to talk to us.
Wait.
Yeah, it should be a little red arrow pointing up. If you, there you go.
Oh, wait. What's that?
There you go. It should be good now. Now unmute yourself on the phone. Just tap it
Okay, now
again.
can
There
you
you
hear me?
go. I can. Perfect.
Okay. Damn it. But you're still seeing me, right?
Yep. You can just tap it on up in the one of the corners, upper corners. There should be a camera with like a, a squiggly thing to be able to flip it.
I
There you
know.
go.
I'm trying to damn look for it.
Now now I'm looking at the table, or I'm looking at some nutrients. So I'm definitely looking at the back side of the camera. You should be able to flip the screen, swipe it one side or the other to see what you can, what the camera. Now I can't see that. There you go.
So you can see it now?
I can see it.
Can you see these tents?
I can.
Okay. So these are so I have these lights, they're LEDs. These are those black dogs. Uh they're kind of expensive. I was sometimes, like I told you before, I have more money than brains, and it's hard. At the time I didn't know what I was doing, so I just said, well, I'm going to buy the best ones I can, right? Because not to say that these are the best, but at the time I thought they were, right? But I'm pretty happy with them. uh, but these are pretty much sour diesel and OG Kush, and those little things are gelato seeds that I popped. And then those are my clone machine. And I you see that little tent in the corner? So I use that for drying, and that has helped me out a lot because my stuff was drying so fast. So now I got like a little humidifier in there. I don't know. But anyways, it works out real good. Because I do a perpetual grow, so I don't cut that many plants at any one time. And then here are some more plants. These are all veg too. I just transplanted some of these yesterday. So a couple of them are kind of wilting. I think I watered them too much or something. But any questions or any? Can you
They
still
look
hear me?
nice and happy. Yeah. They look nice and happy there. Nice and green, lush.
Yeah. So one thing I think, I'm learning, because I was keeping the lights so low that they weren't stretching at all, because like everybody's worried about stretch, but with these lights it's almost like I needed stretch, because my other, in the beginning, they were just these tiny tight buds, you know, and that's one thing I'm still learning. Like you keep talking about leaf stripping and stuff, and that's one thing I have to learn is more about leaf stripping because I think I leave, you know, just too many on my plants.
Yeah, I'd like to delete leaf quite a bit, defoliate quite a bit. You know, just a couple, at least a couple every time I water. I like to pop off a couple that I think's blocking, you know,
Yeah.
bud side or something. Very beneficial. Very beneficial.
So is John? I haven't. I'm on my phone now, and even before I'm not seeing chat. Is Johnny Caniseed watching? Is he on
Yes, he
today?
is.
Okay, let me show. I'll show you. You want to see my hobby while we're doing this? My other hobby.
Yeah. Hell
Okay.
yeah.
So Johnny, this is you got to give if you are interested in any of these, you got to give Eagle your information so he can share it with me. But this goes out to anybody watching, right? This is one of my hobbies, and eventually it's going to be a business, hopefully, for me. But send me an email, right? Uh, but anyways, my passion is fishing, right? And kind of probably tell by Detroit River Rat, right? So I took up making fishing lures, and so I'll show you some of the ones that I paint these. I
Nice.
don't know if you can see all these.
Heck yeah. That's pretty
But I
cool. So what would you be fishing with for those in particular baits?
these you could fish these any type of small fish, bass, pike, mostly bass or any type of smaller, you know. See, I fish for muskie and pike, but I'll show you. These are my littler lures, mostly for bass or pike. Uh, but like,
They're
I
giving
kind of
you
make
big props in chat.
what's that?
I said they're giving you big props in chat. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Nice
So
job.
here's some
Badass.
other ones I make, right? And these I plan on selling. I just don't have the damn time to, you know.
They're
And
done. All you gotta do is go to a bait shop.
yeah, I know.
Heck, you
But
could even do it all at home on a website.
right, I'm
That's a
trying to
done
talk my
deal.
niece into helping me, right? Because I'm trying to get her involved. It's like, hey, I like making them. I don't like damn doing the selling part of them, right? So here's some big
Shit,
musky baits.
you would think the kid would jump all over that. To be honest with you, they don't though.
Yeah, so these are some giant fishing for muskie.
Yeah, those are big ones.
Well,
There. So
I kind of got a
Detroit
problem.
River, they're already asking. Please ask for email, please, please. You've already got a huge response just by the people who are watching here.
So
So
these are all hand tied. I make all these, you know, all this hand tie it. This all like deer hair, right? Dyed deer hair.
it's
You know,
awesome, brother.
I kind of got a problem. Like I told you, I get carried away with shit. But
Shit,
anyways,
that's money in the bank, brother. That's not stupid. That's money in the bank.
well, it's
You
part of
just
my
got to get them
retirement
things to
plan,
market.
right? It's part of my retirement plan. So where? Uh,
That's awesome,
yeah.
brother.
But anyways, so this is kind of my hobby room. Let me get out of here. Hey, I'll just shut this off and go back to my
Yeah,
real.
yeah. So yeah, guys, you guys should hit him up if you're interested. We'll try to figure out something to where you guys can get in touch with him if you're interested in those lures and stuff. That's pretty awesome. I hope you guys do take him up on that. Yeah, even Unlucky said just show up at a flea market like one day a month with them things. Uh, Foe
So
by Foe says straight talent right there. He's right.
yeah, it was kind of weird because I didn't even know I had the talent, right? I ended up just buying an airbrush and I just started playing around with it. And once I realized, I started watching YouTube videos, right? And there's this all these guys that teach you how to, and women, right? There's a few ladies that airbrush paint fishing lures, and I just watched them, and then I'm like, well, shit, I can do that, right? And then you just try it, and your first couple look like shit, but then you just like growing, right? Every run gets a little bit better, right? And every time I do some painting, it gets better, you know. Uh, it's just
Shoot, and I honestly, that's something you. If anything, that'd be your Instagram right there. I would think that's all you'd have to do is start an Instagram under your whatever the company name you'd like it to be. Take a picture of each one of those lures and just like $0 start bid or whatever. And there you go. It'd be too easy.
no, right now I'm work's paying for me to get a certification, right? And I got to take this test mid-February. So my niece is gonna help me. I don't want to really be bothered doing that shit right now because I got to focus on this certification.
Right
And
on.
but I told her because at Christmas time I was bugging her, right? I'm like, what the hell? You told me you were gonna help me. This is free money, right? Because I'll give her 50% of my profit, if not more, right? Because I'm doing it more of a hobby than to make money, right? It gives me something to do in the wintertime. I really don't do it in the summertime. I'm out fishing. I'm fortunate where I have a house right on the water. So I just go out my back door, jump in the boat and go, right? It's a little house. It's nothing fancy, right? But it's just nice, right? What, one of the benefits of not drinking, right? Because when I was a drinking man, I would flush all my money away. But once I quit drinking, my life started improving. I started putting my nickels together, right? And what I learned, it's about postponement of gratification, right? It's if you're always trying to chase gratification, it's hard to get ahead, right? It's hard to save that money for the future, and you know, uh, so it's a balance, right? I don't know why I'm babbling right now, but uh, well, let's go back to those fishing lures because that's more interesting. If you The email address is det.river RIVERRAT the number at att.net. Uh, you know, just I'm more than happy to share them with people. But one thing is, if you do catch a good fish, you got to damn send me a picture because when I do start this shit, you got to show pictures of what you catch, right? And if I'm always holding a fish, they ain't gonna believe if the same guy's always in the picture, right? So I got enough pictures of me catching the fish, right? I gotta get some other pictures. So when I give them to friends, that's kind of my requirement, right? I need some pictures because it helps when you
That
have
sounds like
pictures. Go ahead.
A deal? That sounds like an amazing deal. And fair enough, I would say. Only fair.
Yeah, and eventually I got to get something going, right? So you give some away for free. You don't charge much, right? Maybe your cost. Get some pictures, get a business going, and then uh, the problem is it's crazy, but to do it officially, right? You need to get a federal license because there's a federal excise tax on any fishing equipment, right? So when I do start my business, right, I'll do get that because what happens is when you buy your component parts, you don't have to pay that 10% tax, right? So when I buy the component parts, these companies are charging me this 10% tax, right? Uh, but anyways, so and some of the good component, like I had to beg this one company to even sell me parts because they're like, we don't sell them to hobby people. We only sell them to true licensed, lure companies. And I'm like begging them, and it kind of screwed me because I gave them my whole order, right? And then they're like, "Oh, we can't. You don't have a, tax ID number. We can't do this transaction." You know. So then I go to this other company, order $1,000 worth of parts, right? They come in the mail. I start making fishing lure shit out of them, right? 6 months later, that other company ships me fucking stuff. So now I got all these damn lure. So now I gotta go into the lure business because I got so many damn lure parts.
So I'm just curious, as a business owner, I would try to play this card as somebody unlicensed to try to get some equipment like that. Uh, Under my, I'm not an LLC. Under being my company's an LLC, so I'm sole proprietor. So my tax ID number is my social security number. So if you're buying stuff, why couldn't you just claim you were the sole proprietor and use your social security number as tax ID to buy
The, the,
parts?
the government gives you this number, right? It's part of
Ah,
that lure, part of that registering your lure company. Because I never even knew about it, but when I started joining forums, these people are bashing these. So these guys start these companies. They're paying this excise tax, right? And they really get down on the hobbyists like me, or yeah, I don't sell the shit, but if I do, right, they're kind of dogging the hobbyists because they're kind of undercutting them because they're not paying you know what I mean. I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna worry about it.
big business cutthroat even on the fucking lure level, huh? Damn.
Like, yeah. Because
Crazy.
when you start fishing for species, right? So every kid starts off with a bobber and a damn worm, right? But once you start becoming serious about fishing, right? You start fishing. When you go fishing, you fish for a species, right? When I go out fishing, I don't just go out fishing. I go out smallmouth bass fishing, right? Or I'll go pike fishing, or I'll go out walleye fishing, or I'll go out muskie fishing, right? I'm kind of beyond that point where now if I take a little kid out, or buddy's friend, or buddy's kid or something, right? We go out fishing, right? But typically we're going out fishing for a particular type of fish. We're using a particular type of pole, particular type of line, particular type of lure for that species, you know. Um, but you can overcomplicate it and overthink it. But that's kind of my passion. And one of my, I kind of told you I was going to maybe start some businesses when I retire, right? So one of my goals, right, is to become a fishing charter captain, right? And then I can have this lure business, right? And then hopefully I can be a caretaker, right, or a caregiver, right? So I want to get out of the corporate world because I'm sick of the goddamn politics, man. I like my job, but the fucking politics and the ass kissing and I'm just sick and tired of the corporate world. Uh, I'm, I don't have the balls to just quit, right? uh, but my house is going to be paid off in
So
5.
damn,
Go
you're
ahead.
so damn close. Why are you giving the benefit of screwing you out of the money they owe you? Retirement.
Exactly, right. And I'm pretty much I have a pretty good job, right? I have a pretty good boss. I have pretty good employees. So I'm kind of at the tail end of my career, so I can, you know, I don't have to take shit. I just get frustrated at the politics. People getting promoted that don't deserve promote. Just corporate politics. It gets to you after a while. Um, so, but I want to go work for myself. I just, I want to get my house paid for first. You know, I have to want to worry about making my house payment. Uh, I don't, I'm not that big of a risk taker. I'll be honest with you. I'm sure I could bust my ass, but it's not that aggravating just yet. you know, Especially now with this COVID and we're working remote. I haven't been in the office since April. So I work at my kitchen table every day. You know, it's I'm pretty fortunate in that regard.
It's got to make it a lot better,
Yeah.
I would think.
I went out and bought I got a laptop from work, right? But I went and bought a second monitor and a keyboard. And shit, it's just like sitting at my desk in the office, right? So it's like, what the hell? In the company that I work for, there's no talk about going back anytime soon. So I don't think we'll be back until the spring. Who knows? You know.
It's got to make streaming a lot more fun when you got the dual monitors and stuff. You can watch shows, have the chat up in the bigger window. Makes
Yeah,
it
I
nicer
haven't.
for that.
I should have hooked it up to my. I kind of keep my work shit over in one area and my personal shit over in another area. But that is a good idea. I probably should do that. Should have did that for the
That's
next.
what's going on right now. As I look at you, I've got the Zoom in one window, one monitor over here, and I've got the chat up in a like. So basically, my setup is I've got the camera like dead center here, and I can eyeball us over here on this side, and I can eyeball chat over here on this monitor, and try to like keep an eye on both one. Just kind of flutter back and forth. It took me forever to come up with a comfortable setup to where I could do this 5 hours a day and be able to do both and not kind of be able to where I was like, you gotta kind of get comfortable. That's for sure.
No,
But
a couple episodes ago, you kind of showed your setup, and it was kind of nice how your 4 screens are. It was, but if you're doing it all day, for 5 hours, you got to be set up right. You can't be half-assing it every night.
I'm completely comfortable, man. When I come up here at night, man, I've got a couple chairs that, depending on how I feel, my back feels and shit, that yeah, I use. I come in, I bring a pot of coffee in with me. Ta-da. My French press. I got my fucking juice in case I get tired of the coffee, and then I got my canvas. I'm ready to roll for hours. Usually when I sit down, I'm ready to rock and roll for a
You
while.
got a
Get some coffee.
system at this point.
Oh yeah, I'm getting. There's times like where I'm like, I used to half hour before the show, I'd be here all nervous and kind of double checking everything. Episode 309, I'm like fucking sliding into it like 5 minutes before the show. Fire that up, fire that up. Click, 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 ready to go. It's
Yeah, that's why I wasn't
definitely
nervous
a
because
system.
I'd give in AA you give open talks, right? So I've spilled my whole life story in front of you know a bunch of people, right? Multiple times. So it's like I don't talking about smoking and hanging a little bit about your life. I'm not too nervous about it. I guess I'm fortunate in that regard.
Appreciate that. I
And you're
definitely
a pretty
appreciate it.
easy individual to talk to.
Appreciate that as well. So, what's are there some strains that you're looking to pop here in the future? Which do you prefer? Do you prefer an indica or sativa? Which side do you lead there, or just don't mind much?
I like indicas, but I haven't got a good one yet, right? I mean, to be honest, when I like putting a buzz on, I want to put a buzz on, right? I mean, during the day, I don't mind getting a little uppity buzz, right? But at night, I would like to put, you know, a little bit of a, buzz on. But so that's, I got to find a strain. You were talking about Bengus and stuff. You were saying, man, that put a, I got to find something
Yeah,
like that
there's
where it puts a seat clamp
that
on
Blue
you.
Mile from Bingus. I found it hit me pretty hard when I smoked it that night, and every time the sample I got, I was lucky enough to pull three out of that sample, and each one was like a nice. That's the way it hit me anyway. Jinx's 9 pound hammer is another good one. I'd suggest for if you're looking for a heavy indica.
What is it?
That one, the Jinx's 9 pound hammer, that's a heavy hitter there as far as the indicas go. I, when I used to table there at the I guess the clubs you could call it back where we could do our caregiver thing. That's what I always would suggest for people that wanted something to sleep. And it's anybody that ever suggested that for sleep always came back and was like, "Yeah, that was perfect for what I needed." And you have any more? They always came back for more because even myself, man, I grew it forever, and I still have. It's around. I passed it to a friend so I could move on and on other things. But when I had that around, I didn't smoke that shit during the day. I just didn't smoke it during the day. That was the one I drew right before I wanted to go to bed. That was like the showstopper right there for me. Was the 9 pound. So that's a good lead right there all in itself.
I would hope eventually we could get to the point where we could have like meetups where everybody just exchanges flavors with each other. You know what I mean? Because I get sick
River
of
Rat, that's
smoking.
every day at any of these events, man. You just need to
Well,
come,
I gotta get him.
man. The
That's why I'm
Clio,
on the. Why do you think I've joined this stuff so I can get plugged in, man?
holy cow, that's what we do, brother. The events are already being planned for like 420 and stuff. I know two events that are already for the 420 time period. Actually, 417 are the days for both. One's up towards Traverse City, and the other one's the kind of to be announced. It's invite only right now, but
Gotcha.
it'd be. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be to the public though. But man, that's what we do. That's not what we do. I mean, we come, we trade, we fucking group up, and
That,
fucking. Oh man, them are amazing days.
well, that's why I did the interview because I want to get to meet some local people and get involved, right? Because that's the nice thing about this, right? And if I just sit there and don't talk to anybody or don't get on the screen, how am I going to meet everybody? I mean, to be honest, that's why I did the interview, and that's why I'm talking to people, right? Because I want to meet people and exchange and learn from them and learn how they're growing and come over to my house and check. Hey, look at this. What do you think about this? Or do video calls or just, get other ideas, right? It's, I like the exchange of ideas and other people's. You can't, I don't learn from myself too much, right? I got to have learn from other people, you know.
Well, you've hit the wealth of people, man. Well, there's a good majority of us. I mean, chat's from everywhere, but the majority of us are Michigan based. That's for sure. I mean, I'm looking back at a lot of the guest list, in the past there, man, I'd say a quarter of them are Michigan folks. Out of, 309 episodes, I'd say a good quarter of them are Michigan folks that have been on the show there. That you'll find at these events.
Right.
Wolverine grower for sure. Myself, Smiley, modern genetics, red eye rustler, Miss D's Nugs, TTB's, Michigan Gander, Twisted Roots, the Michigan grower. Fuck. There's so many, so many. For all of those you guys that I'm leaving out, nutrient shootouts, Naughty Nikki, Rascal Farmers, Med Grower One's a Michigan grower. Fuck, there's you
Yeah, there's
name it.
tons of them.
Shit, yeah. It's and they're at these events, man, and it's fun. You bump into them, say hello. Most times, you're greeted with a smile and fucking open conversation and smoke. Yeah. Hopefully, you are able to make some of these events here this year for
Well,
sure.
I definitely will, as long as I know about where they're at and what time they are, I'm definitely gonna make a plan to it. Make a concerted effort to it. Because that's the only way you get to know people is get out there. I'm a pretty easygoing individual, so I, you know, I meet people fairly easily, I think.
Oh,
I mean, I
don't
can be,
forget Kazoo. Yeah, Modern Genetics says, don't forget Kazoo. Kazoo's another Michigan native as well. Kazoo. T Dog, the artist. I'm sorry. They just keep popping up in my head. All the great folks, man. There's a lot of them. A lot of great folks here in Michigan.
well, I think it's a pretty good area to produce product, right? Uh, I would like to try to grow some outside. Right now, I don't have really any area, but I got to figure that out, you know, just to try it.
They keep, it's funny. Hopefully, you go back and watch this and read the chat because there's been a bunch of cool comments all night long. You know, I've had tons of nice things to say about you, and you'll be able to see some of these Michigan folks because they keep, don't forget, don't forget DLP, don't forget, yeah. There is, just tons of great folks in Michigan. I know, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you at some of these events, man. They're everywhere.
Oh, you
Yeah,
definitely
actually, I
will.
think Michigan actually kind of we snuck some in last year, even though the COVID rules, man. We
I,
still I managed to go to like 4 or 5 of them.
That's what I was kind
Still
of bummed. I
sneak in.
joined kind of late, and that camping one sounds real cool at that campground where you just get a spot, and that's a great idea.
That's twice a year too. That's like that'd be like in June, July. I think they do that one in July, and then again in the fall. They do it again in the fall. So you get 2 chances at that one. That's a nice setting too. It's like in the middle of the Huron National Forest. It's like dead smack in the woods. I mean, you drive like it's about 20 minutes easy. You don't see shit. You don't see shit, but old growth forest You know, there's actually a nice bridge where you come over and you can, it goes down and you can like look over the old growth forest and you think, man, that is beautiful. Every time I look over that, I think of like my old like ancestors that had to like, that was the way, you know what I mean? That was their day, was like to get through that fucking valley to the other side or whatever. And I get all kinds of respect for the people that started this country. When I go through there, man, I'm just like, what a hard life it was. It had to be, to push through these thick woods, and just to survive, man. But it's a beautiful country and a very cool place to hang out and smoke cannabis. I've been to a lot of events, and I enjoy uh, like the daytime events, the vendors, all the hustle and bustle of it all. But what seemed really cool at that event was the atmosphere, like when the sun was starting to set, and the campfires started lighting. That aspect of it. That's when it seemed to really. That's when you could tell the fun was coming on.
I'm more of an outdoors type person, so I would enjoy that. I definitely like smoking around a campfire. I've done that more than once.
That's when the good stories come out. That's when the good stories come out, when you're around the campfire smoking.
Yeah,
The real bonds are made.
that is true. Well, do you need to do a dab song? We haven't done one of
Well,
those. It is 1:20 or my, oh no, I'm looking at the damn time.
well, I try to stay away from the dab songs just because
Oh yeah,
it's
because
like a 50-50 shot
right,
about getting a copyright strike.
I forgot
And
about that.
well, I appreciate you guys' time and doing this, so I don't want to see it fucked up by me doing something stupid through a copyright issue, and then this be lost for, you know what I mean? So I
No, and
try
they're
not to
cracking
stay away
down
from it.
because that Dude's Grow show, they suspended them for a week.
What?
Yeah, they were off for a week. They just got back this week, just yesterday. They were suspended for a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, don't I consider myself lucky right now?
Well, that's really one big advertisement, but still, I mean,
That's where they're cracking down at, though, is,
right.
and
They
basically it's freaking money. That's all it is they don't want you to make money without them making money. They want the revenue, and they want to be able to pay you. They don't want it the other way around.
This is their business, right? I mean, you know, so
I
I
get
see
that.
their point, right? And they don't want these light companies and shit getting one over on them, right? So it's like they're like, "Fuck you! You ain't getting one over on us. You're gonna pay advertising dollars. You ain't gonna fucking bribe one of these people to advertise for you for fucking a $200 or whatever, $300 or $400 for a light, right? You know how much,
I got I got a thing from Mars yesterday when I got off the show. I'm like, no way, no way. That's yeah, and once you start doing that, putting them links in your descriptions and stuff like that, man, you're doomed. You are doomed when you start dropping links. So I don't do it either. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was surprised they were back today. Yesterday, they just did a very informal, like hash making session, right? But today they were back online full speed, and I didn't see any really changes. But I don't know, they didn't come out and say why they got suspended, right? But Scotty did talk about it a little bit. But today they didn't really change anything, right? They still kind of advertised seeds, right? They still advertised, you know, recharge, and then they advertised something else, right? So it was like, well, I don't know, it was interesting.
Well, again, that's what I've told. I think the loophole is that's the loophole. To be honest with you, is you if you spoken word, you can do the spoken word advertisement, but uh, you can't put it in the title. You can't be dropping links. I think that's where they would allow it. But if you put it in the title, something that can be searched like that, that's when they get you. Is what I'm
Gotcha.
seeing. Is what I'm seeing. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a, it's crazy. You should be able to, if like say like me and you are talking, and there's a product that you like, you know what I mean. You should be able to say it without necessarily it being an advertisement, but you should be able to say it and suggest it to somebody else without it being cut out. As long as it isn't the recurring theme of every episode, that's when it becomes an advertisement. You know what I mean? I don't know.
No,
But I don't see the
that's
harm in like seeds and stuff. We got to know what's where. That's another. That's one thing I don't have any qualms with either. Is because people's got to know where to find good seeds and stuff. It's still we're still in that gray area to where it's not obvious. You still have to put a little work into finding seeds, and especially quality seeds. So
right. And that's, I'm learning there, right? It's quality seeds, because the first seeds I got, I'm happy with them, but I don't know, are they, I hear a lot of people bashing the company that I bought them from, but I've been somewhat happy with what I've gotten, right? Uh, so I don't know. It's hard to know, right? Uh, I've had good germination rates, I haven't had, now I'm a novice, so I buy a lot of fem seeds, right? And I get good germination, and I haven't had any problems. There've always been fems, you know what I mean? So I've been fortunate in that regard.
well, you like the seeds I sent you were regulars, but I highly suggest you pop them. You'll be happy
Oh,
with those.
I will, but I think they're coming Pony Express.
They actually came back. My mail lady was
Ah,
like, I don't
okay.
even know what the fuck she was thinking. Uh, I got a thing in my, I sent them out, and I get like 2 days later, 3 days later, I get a thing, I get them back with like a thing attached to them telling me to put more postage on them. And then I had a thing to go pick up a package anyway. So I go in there and I'm like, so why won't, and it must have been the same lady that put the sticker on there. I'm like, so why didn't this pass? Because I mail these out just like this every other time and it makes it, but now you want me to pay more postage on this one for some reason. She's like, wait a minute, you send them like that all the time? I'm like, all the time. She's like, okay, well, let's, here we go. She threw it right back in the thing to have it sent out. I was like, okay. So it should be on its way. That was like
Okay.
yesterday, but yeah. Either
No, I
way, I'll
definitely
make
would
sure
pop
it
because
gets
I
to you.
want some more variety, right? I'm getting sick of smoking the same stuff, you know,
I
and I
don't blame
want
you
more
there.
variety versus a lot of the same damn plant, I'm getting sick of the same strain, you know. Uh, but I do love hash, so, so like this is my favorite. I know you like hash too, but
Yeah.
I'm still a novice on making it. I just do the bubble bags, and I bought one of those washing machines, and I freeze it, and then I do the cheese grater, the microplaner thing. I know some people don't like that because you chop up the heads and stuff. but seems to be fine with me, right? And like the first time I made hash, I made all the different bags, and I said, fuck that shit. So now I just use the 220 and the fucking 25, and I just throw the fucking 220 out, and I just have a hodgepodge, and I enjoy it. Because it's,
Yeah, it's still
to
good.
me, it's like kiddish. If I'm gonna, oh, this is 45, and oh, this little pile 73, and oh, this, what the fuck? Mix it all up and smoke it, you know?
I agree. I pull it in layers. Sometimes I keep it in microns, but not too often. I'm right there with you. It should be enjoyed all together. You know, it was grown
Now,
together. It's just
now,
different pieces.
now, maybe if I was going to then take it and press it or do other things with it, then it might be more beneficial to keep the different, but I just,
It's no, them are the guys that are putting it all together and pressing it. To be
oh,
honest
are
with
they?
you,
Okay. Well,
yeah,
there you go.
yeah. So four times foe wants to know. He says Detroit River Rat seeds for lures? Question mark. That sounds like a deal.
I'm always into bartering, my friend. I'm a barterer. It's all about fair trade.
Right there with you.
And I didn't even
Sure.
show you all the variety. I just showed you some of them. Some I got a lot of musky lures that are a little bit bigger, but not many people fish for muskies. It's a unique, you know. They say if you're a muskie fisherman, you have to have a strong back and a weak mind, because just kind of a joke. But the fish of
Yeah.
10,000 casts, you don't catch that many of them. But they're very exciting to catch. And especially when you catch one on a lure that you made, that's even more exciting, you know. And the one thing, and to be honest, right, I'll give this offer out in the summertime. I, I love taking people fishing and I love going fishing, right? I mean, I have, I would be happy to take anyone on chat, right? Muskie fishing, pike fishing, walleye fishing, and all you got to do is show up, right? I got all the equipment because I want to be a fishing charter captain. So I've kind of buying it now when I got money. So when I retire and I don't have money, I already got all the shit and I don't need to spend it. You know what I mean? Kind of planning ahead type thing, right? And so I really enjoy taking people fishing, right? So, that offers out there too, because I truly enjoy it.
Sounds like you got yourself pretty well set there for retirement. I mean, if anything, it looked like just as an observation, it would look like you have enough lures set aside to where you could just launch the lure business a couple years before the charter business, and it would like pay for the other. You know what I mean? It would help the launch of the charter. The lures would lead to the launch of the charter. There, no
Yeah, and
problem.
it's really about retiring to something versus retiring from something, right? They've determined that the life expectancy of individuals who retire to something is exponentially longer than those individuals who retire from something, right? You can't be driven your whole life working, 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 and then all of a sudden retired to sit on the couch, right? Those individuals shrivel up and die. You got to have a plan, even if it's charity work, even if it's a hobby, right? You got to have a plan and retire to something. At least that's what I believe, and that's what I was taught. You know, um,
Chad Westport points out a good point as well. He says he needs to start up the 420 fishing guide service. I'll bet he'll do well. Customer will buy a lure just to remember the day, and he's probably right. He's probably right. You could probably just sell a lure on the way out just to remember the day. It'd be a double whammy for sure.
Yep, get them buzzed, take them out fishing, and let them leave with a lure.
Uh,
A good idea.
Sounds like a good way to retire too. Jeez, man, doing what you love, riding around fishing
Yeah,
and shit.
that's why I don't mind showing my face, because if for some reason I do get canned, maybe it was a blessing in disguise, right? So maybe
I
because I'm pretty disgusted at work.
It's funny when you were talking about your how happy you were at work there with the corporate level there. They were describing the scene at. You ever seen that movie Office Space?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
The printer scene. They were pretty much comparing your dislike for the corporate to the printer scene in Office Space. They were basically telling you to get out before it led to that.
No, you know, uh, it's a tough call, right? Because when I like a guaranteed paycheck, right? And I I am a risk taker, but I'm not that big of, you know what I mean? It's like it's not that discomfortable yet, right? When it becomes that discomfortable, right? Then I will do that, right? Um, but right now, it's not that bad. Um, we will see.
Yeah, thank you, Ned Denver, for pointing that out. I would actually reach out to Med Grower One too, because he's down towards your area, and he also has a outdoor page where he that's just dedicated to his fishing and stuff. He's a big
Okay, that's good to
fisher.
know.
I yeah, he would. You'd probably get some shout outs, towards the lure end of it for sure if you wanted to market some. But as far as even if you weren't, if you just wanted to meet a good cannabis friend down your way that would love to go fishing,
Oh yeah,
right
that's the
there.
whole. I mean, to be honest, that's my whole intent of getting involved. Right, is to develop friendships, meet people, and
He's
learn.
an awesome dude.
Right.
He's an awesome dude. I'm telling you right now, if you were to tell him, hey man, I'd love to fucking hook up, go fish with you. More than likely, he would hook up and go fishing with you. He's that kind of. He's very approachable, very community
And what's
based
his
guys.
new? I know he's having trouble, right? And he's starting up a new channel. I gotta find his new channel.
I wish I had the link right off the top of my head, but he is starting a new channel for sure, and we should sub up
No, I just
just in case that he
right.
does
Last
lose that
week I
one
did go
minute.
to his old site and him and Wolverine. That's why I didn't want, because even him, right? He just got powdered mildew, right? And even someone that experienced, right? It happens. It happens to every. If you grow long enough, you're gonna. The odds are shit's gonna happen, right?
It's in the air. It's always
Yeah,
in the air,
right.
especially here in Michigan.
You're gonna get bugs. You're gonna. Well, yeah, especially in the fall, it's all over my lawn. It's over my cucumbers. I definitely keep the two. I don't work in one garden and go in the other. That's for sure. Um,
Very well.
yeah,
Yeah,
eventually,
he's
maybe.
another one. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, please. I cut you off, sir.
No, um, uh, I didn't show my flower area because that is, I don't have it on a night cycle. I run mine during the day, but I'm going to convert it. So I'll join the spotlight one time and show you the flower area. And I'll show you the slippery slope of organic growing, because I know you mentioned that you might have a similar problem like I do. Uh, because now I got this damn shelf and all these little cubby holes and, one of each of everything, and, you know,
Oh yeah, the organics definitely. I'm already kind of looking forward to the weather breaking so I can clean out some areas, do some shifting
but,
around, get some earthworm boxes going, or get
but
some
one thing
earthworm
I might,
bins. Sorry.
no, I think that's the new thing. That's what I'm going to do in the fall or the springtime, because I've ordered 2 batches of worms. I ordered the first one, they came dead because they delivered them at FedEx delivered them at 1 a.m. in the morning. But you can't fucking leave something on my porch at 1 a.m. in the morning on December 17th, or some shit like that, right? By the time I realized they were out there, they were frozen. So then the company did send me some more free ones, right? Because I showed them, hey, FedEx delivered this at 1 in the morning. But then Lowe's came dead. Well, I didn't have the heart to tell them. I'm not that, he's came dead too, right? So I'm just gonna wait, and in the springtime I'm gonna reorder some, and then get a worm. Uh, I'm gonna take
Yeah,
Coop's suggestion and use those fabric pots.
I'm just look ecstatic about it because I like again. I live in the friggin' woods. I live in the woods, and I don't even have a trash man up here. All my stuff's got to be thrown right in the back of my pickup, man. I got to take that to the a couple miles down the road to we got a big old can that crushes things, and I don't even know when they empty that thing. But if I could limit my garbage intake that trip back and forth, if I could just be like taking my scraps out once a day and chucking it in some bins and then reusing it as quality stuff in my garden, it'd be kind of silly not to be honest with you. Plus, the garbage man don't like me anyway. I've always got, I've always got a truck. I've always got my limit. He's always shaking his head, and it's funny because I'm always like trying to toss in my all my cannabis shit first. I always know which bags those are that are all full of like leaves and bullshit. I'm like I grab them first and chuck them on, and then I try to chuck my shit on top of it. He's always eyeballing me. They actually like they actually kind of cut them, but we actually have a limit now. We can only like five 30-gallon bags per trip. And that's cut off. And I had 6 the other day, and that cat come running right out of the little fucking box.
Uh,
Gave me a little piece of paper. You know the deal. I'm like, those weren't even 30s. And I could double up half of those, and I was under my limit. I grabbed the paper, got back in the truck. Jeez. uh, it's country
and
living at its best right there.
no, I get it. Being a landlord, I have a lot of trash to throw out when you evict people and people just move out, and you know, uh, one of my friends, the city like next door, they have a city dump, right? And so luckily I go pick him up, and then we drive over there, and then you pay $10 for a truckload, and then they let you, get rid of it. Well, it's not really a dump. They just have some dumpsters, but they let you throw anything you want pretty much away in these dumpsters, you know what I mean, for $10. It's kind of hard to beat. Uh, you know. So, because sometimes it's hard to get rid of stuff. It's never fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tell me about it. They're picky about it. I can't like any kind of large appliances or like if I had a couch to throw out or a couch or mattress. There's only like 2 times a year where I'm allowed to like bring that type of shit. Actually, their advice the most times out of 10 are like, have you thought about burning it? That's their advice. Burn it and bring the metal here.
They're in the country, man. That's what they do. Everybody's got a big fire pit, right?
Yeah, true.
What I do is I take a sawzall, right? Because I'm not carrying a fucking couch out of the house. I'm not carrying, but I take a sawzall and cut all this shit up. Fuck it. I'm sick of, I'm not gonna carry a full couch out. I'm done with that shit. I just take a sawzall, cut it in half, cut shit up. I can carry it out that way.
Saves room in the dumpster, anywho.
Yeah. I'm not gonna strain myself over some idiot, I don't know how many times it's kind of a joke, but anyways, my buddy, he's kind of a mentor of mine. He's an old guy, but he has rental properties. But we always joke, like I got this bong, right? And it's probably a $2,000 bong because that's what the tenant left behind when I evicted him, We always joke about that, you know. You hold up a pipe wrench here, here's a $1,500 pipe wrench, because, you know, you know, it is what it is. Overall, it's a very profitable business, and that's why that guy, was so full of shit the other night. You know, I would love everybody not to buy houses. Fucking, I'll rent to you, man. Uh, you know, uh, yeah, you can buy a house at the wrong time and end up losing money. Yeah, you could. That can happen, right? But over time, it will appreciate, right? It's a long-term asset, and typically it historically does appreciate over time, right? Now, if you buy something for speculative purposes, for short-term gain, can you take a large, yeah, the shorter term you're going to hold something, the more volatility in price you're going to have, right? So, but owned, it's kind of stupid to rent for 30 fucking years, right? What are you going to end up with? I mean, that's the great thing about America, and and what people don't understand about some of the socialist countries in Europe, right? Is personal property rights, right? America, there's a transfer of wealth because we have more personal property rights, right? Over in Europe and a lot of those socialist countries like Amsterdam, right? Luckily, I worked for a company where I got to go to Amsterdam in 2005 for work. So I had a lot of fun on the side, right? Because I stayed a week extra. Because I figured, fuck, they paid for the airfare, right? And it was kind of nice because if you flew, that company paid. Their policy was if your plane ride was over 10 hours, you could fly first class. So I was able to fly first class, right? And like that's the first time in my life I've ever flown. I wouldn't pay for first class, right? I'm too fucking cheap to do that. But since it was over a 10-hour flight, but anyways, uh, I learned about that's when I was talking to people over there, and they're like even in Amsterdam, right? Those countries are so old, right? And the way personal property rights are, and like a lot of those people don't own their homes. They lease from these companies or trusts who own like most of Amsterdam, right? Because I'm not saying no one, right? But there isn't the personal property rights. It's not as easy to own property and accumulate wealth as it is like over here in the United States, just things like that we just take for granted. Conceptually, we don't even understand, uh, you know. Um, but anyways, I don't want to get political, but
I don't blame you. I don't blame Politics is a fine road right there.
Oh yeah. No, because it's like opinions, right? Everybody's got, you know, everybody think there's right, just like religion. It's best not to talk about it, right? Because politics and religion I try to avoid, you know,
I
because
always try to teach my
everybody's
kids that.
it's just too passionate of a subject, and people think there's absolute right answers, right? Well, guess there ain't fucking absolute answers, right? So
I
just
agree with
best
that
not to
statement.
just let people have their views, and just I guess the understanding is everybody's has a right to have a view, right? And my you know I shouldn't try to espouse my views on someone else and say these are the only right views to have, you know. I don't know.
Rolling up some J1 I got from Mr. Jack Greenstock. Yeah, sent me that clone over earlier this year. I grew it out. Couple runs now. Been pretty
he
good to me.
he has a real good show. I like his show. He has a very good attitude, like you. You know, I like his show. I definitely watch his.
Definitely some good knowledge over there, man. Definitely a great panel of knowledge there for sure.
And I like the vibe, right? They're, you know, they're pretty good people. I just like, his
It,
panel and
it's
who he has
knowledge
on.
orientated, not so much ribbing on each other. You know what I mean?
Right. And all of them have good knowledge and they all share, right? And they want questions, right? And they're not after making a buck, right? They're not after, here, pay for these fucking so you can chat with these emojis, and pay us money so you can use these emojis and pay us, what the fuck.
Yeah, I agree.
I finally found out what that fucking live chat's for. So if you have like a join your channel, then when you first join, you fucking show up in that header bar. I saw it on another fucking channel. I'm like, oh, maybe that's what fucking that. It was weird, right? I mean, I like the show, right? But Michigan Bros, I do like those guys. I watch them religiously. I have nothing against them, right? But they have like they have like join the club, right? And then you can buy these special icons and shit, right? But someone just did it. I don't know, Monday or Sunday. No, Sunday, right? And then all of a sudden they showed up like all red, right? And then they ended up at the top toolbar in the chat for a while, right? And I'm like going, oh, I wonder if that's what that's about. Remember, because you keep saying, I wonder what there's got to be a reason for it. There's got to be a reason for it.
Yeah, that's that's the fans only club thing. That's the yeah, pay to play.
Right.
That
But I
that's
don't,
not even paying for the stickers. That's the
they
super
don't,
chat. That's the super chat, right? I believe they call that.
but I do like that show. I'm not trying to bash them because I like the individual Skilbo and Spartan, and I do, they really, I've asked them questions. They're always very friendly. They're always willing to help me with my questions. So I do like that show, uh, to be honest with
Good
you.
vibe over there.
Yeah, I do like those guys. And that's one thing where I wouldn't mind joining their patronage thing because I wouldn't mind getting some of their fucking, cuttings and shit, And they seem like decent people to hang out. They don't seem, you know, I don't know. I don't get the same vibe from some of those other ones.
Uh, Again, the cut should come without all that. It should just be camaraderie.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm willing to, you know, play a few games. You know, if that's the entry fee, I'm willing to play a few games. You know, if it's gonna bend me in the long run, you know, sometimes you gotta fucking eat. You know, sometimes you gotta just play the game. You know what I mean? Can't be that stubborn to
Yeah,
not always, yeah, ever play the game.
I agree. I agree.
But
Still got.
go ahead.
I was gonna say we got 57 watts and currently. What's up, GCB? One more just popped in.
That's what I'm amazed at. You know, how many people watch this time at night? You know, you got a real good following, you know, and I know it's a lot of people on the West Coast and people from overseas, so it's totally different time zones, right? But it's not, you know, all Eastern time zone people, but there is a lot of them.
For sure. It's a cool community. Everybody likes to it's the chat that makes the whole thing. You know, the great people in chat are very welcoming to new people. It makes people want to come back. You know, once you people say hello, make you feel welcome, why wouldn't you want to come back?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, all you know, the wormhole, right? Smiley's a great guy, and Johnny and Ali and Bingus, you know, how, you know, everybody that, you know, that's why I really like your, you know, this channel because everybody that joins it, they're really good people and good attitudes and enjoying, you know, it's enjoyable. Everybody's
Well,
really out.
you've done your dues. You'd be able to come and hang out in any of the wormholes now. Anytime you're up and want to come hang out, you can come log on and hang out.
Yeah, it'll
Now
definitely
that
be
you've
on the
done
weekends.
this,
It won't be during the week because I'll be sending my boss a text probably about, you know, 6 in the morning. I had a rental property emergency. I'll be coming in late today. You know, I'll be taking a nap when we hang up, you know, sleeping. But, you know, fuck them.
sorry about that, brother.
No, I don't care. You know, it's, hey, that's part of the, you know, I'm lucky. I'm fortunate where I can do that. Right. You know, that's part of the salary because, you know, when I stay to 8 o'clock on my computer, they ain't paying me any extra, right? So they can give me, but I'm fortunate where my boss, it's all about getting the job done, right? It's not about clocking in certain hours. You know, I've been doing my job for long enough. It's about getting the job done. So, you know, if you need to leave early one day, you need to do something one day, you just do it. But, you know, if it's expected, you need to stay late, you need to work Saturday or something, you know, you do that too, right? So just be professional about it. And, you know, it's pretty fair in that regard. They don't nickel and dime you. It's,
Yeah, I do appreciate you coming out. I do hope that you do take me up and offer coming back. The Zoom numbers are always the same, so keep that invitation
oh
that
no,
I
I got it
sent
written
you.
down. I will definitely. No, I enjoy it. I'll join because I want to, you know, get people opinion on. I got to get better that leaf stripping, right? I need to learn more about that because when I show you my flower stuff, they're like, you know, I do a pretty good job lollipopping, right? But I just don't think I do enough leaf stripping, right? But I don't mind it because all my larf, I just make hash out of it, right? So it's not like it's like okay, big deal. Now I just get more hash, right? You know,
Right
that's
there with you. I don't mind smoking some of that stuff. A lot of times, man, I actually smoke a lot of the larf and popcorn and make hash out of it. And just kind of combine the two. throw some of that in on my larvae joints. But I make sure my patients get my first pick of everything before, once everybody's got theirs, I go back and smoke some better stuff. But till they pick theirs, I'm unfortunately smoking the lower stuff. And it's,
Well,
we kind of talked about, the price of smoking earlier and what you could do with that, what you paid for what you get now. To be honest with you, back in the day, way before I started growing, well, there was a transition to where it stopped coming for free, if you will. And then I had to start paying for it there for a while. And then I started growing again. And man, once I started paying it for it a while, and I was like, man, this is silly. This is silly for what we're paying per month. We can pay for a grow. You know what I mean? And to this day, that amount, which was at that point, it was $800 a month I was spending in cannabis. $800 a month. I happily pay for a grow that provides for myself plus five people for that same amount of money that I was just putting into a paper and smoking up every month. I now take care of myself plus five people for less than I was paying just outright. So why wouldn't you, you know, grow and take care of people? That's what I couldn't understand.
to be honest, that was one of the reasons why I started growing because it goes back to retirement planning, right? So I was spending close to what you were spending, right? So I want to be debt free. To me, it's all about being debt free when I retire, right? And the sooner I can be debt free, the sooner I can retire, right? Uh, if I could be debt free tomorrow, I could retire tomorrow. So that, my goal is to retire as soon as I can. Worst case, it's 5 years, right? But my thought was, hey, it's legal. I can cut that expense right out of my, you know, and I could possibly turn it around and make some profit out of it, right? Eventually, right? Instead of it being a liability, you could turn it into an asset, right? Uh, so that was another reason, exactly, right? It was a cost reduction because, yeah, there was an initial investment because I bought, you know, those lights were somewhat expensive, right? But I really like them. I know not many people have them. I don't really see many people talking about them. Uh, but they are some real nice lights. And my flower lights are those, I think you might have one. They're those Gavita LEDs. Those,
Mine's similar model to it. Mine's a active grow
okay.
LED, but it's similar,
But I
very
bought,
similar.
for flower, I bought those Gavita bar lights. I don't know, they're 645 watts or something like that, right? And I got like a 12, well, it's about a 14 by 5 foot room out in my garage, right? That I have all insulated, and that's kind of my flower room. Um, because I have a small house and I don't have a basement, right? Because I live on the water, so you can't really have a basement. So I'm kind of like limited on space, right? So my flower area is out in the garage, and so that area is pretty packed, right? I I barely was able to fit three of those Gavita lights in there, uh, but now once I got those in there, that's the ticket, buddy. There, I, because I was flowering under 400-watt lights, right? Uh, Now those Black Dog, they're good lights, but compared to flowering under those Gavitas, they're no difference, right? It's like these things grow them fucking selves. What I'm finding is though, I'm hearing more people having calcium problems, and I think I'm having calcium problems because those lights are so intense, you know. Uh,
Well, it's more mag usually. They seem to be more mag heavy under the LEDs, them in particular LEDs for some reason. So,
well, try that damn CalMag. I don't try to usually add that, but you know, I got a bottle of it because at first, when I first, sometimes I just buy shit without knowing it because the CalMag, buy it. So I bought all this kind of shit before I even know what the fuck I was doing, right? And then after I bought it, then I started listening and people, like Coop making fun of it and shit. And especially being organic, it's not really something that organic people use. It's more the people that, I, now I started putting the pieces together and it's like, well, now I got a bottle of shit and I don't really use it. So, but I did start using a little bit recently because I heard the same thing that you told me, right? It could be a calcium, it could be that magnesium deficiency. So try to use that and see. But
yeah, I usually lean towards more Epsom salts and molasses when I need both of those. But as far as in organics, they're the talk lately has been to add gypsum. Uh, Seems to take care of a lot of the problems that you see in LED. Again, I'm not giving no organics advice. I'm not giving no
well,
organics advice at this point.
you
I'm
live and
still,
learn. Well, you'll be eventually, right? It's just a learning process, right? And you know, I tell you what, I'm sure you've probably heard of the guy, right? That Harley Smith.
oh
Man,
yeah,
watch
yeah.
his YouTube videos, man. That guy, you'll learn. I gotta watch him again because I've watched him like twice, three times, and every time I watch him, it more of the pieces fit together. I start learning more, and he explains shit such in a common language. I love that guy.
He's got an impressive set of chops.
Right? Yeah. Speaking of those pork chops, right?
Right. Um, yeah, he is an amazing guy right there. You know, yeah, that's one of those things. Organics is a crazy rabbit hole. Once you get down it, man, it's definitely one of those things I don't think I'll turn back on. But where I fall on about like not giving advice on it at this point is, you know, I'm getting more and more knowledgeable on it. I'm listening and reading and diving into the rabbit holes daily. But as far as like giving advice on it, it's like one of those things like you start giving advice on it. It's like, motherfucker, you don't even grow in organics. How are you giving advice? So that's why at this point, until I'm actually like growing in organics, I'm gonna just shut the fuck
Shut
up
the fuck
about
up.
what I know.
Yeah, right. The only advice I give is the advice I parrot from like Coot or Spartan or someone that fucking, you
Mr.
know,
Smiley, you can't forget Mr.
Smiley.
Smiley. The
No,
organics
Smiley, right? No, he's
takeover's
good.
coming this week,
Yeah.
man.
No, I'm impressed every time I watch, I've been going back and watching some of his episodes and watching some of, I really enjoy Smiley. He has a good attitude and he knows his shit about organic stuff, right?
Oh
I
yeah,
think I'm
man.
thinking about
Have
trying
you
one.
seen? You should follow. If you're not following him, you should check out his YouTube channel. He does have a YouTube channel as well, where he posts updates in his garden, man. And he's growing under them Gavita style lights and in more of a room, and man, he's killing it under that them style lights. That's for sure, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely
This
killing it.
this spring I'm gonna get one of those mini splits and then I'll be real happy. Because I bought some CO2 tanks and a monitor and all that shit. So but last summer I was running a fucking single tube air conditioner and I was going through all kinds of CO2. But the place by my house sells it for $8.50 a tank, right? That seems pretty damn cheap in my book for a 20
Yeah.
gallon tank, 25-gallon tank. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing too that you'll get to notice too is with the LEDs. Well, you've always been under LEDs, but you know your target temperature's a little warmer. You know, you actually want to be up closer to 80 under the LEDs. So that actually pulls up, but you need that mini split for. So
Yeah, and it's more just to keep, I don't want, yeah, what I want is a sealed room. That's why I want to get that mini split, right? And then so I can get a sealed room. I mean, I could get one of those air conditioners, but then it takes up space. Where this way, a mini split won't take up any space because I'll have it all outside, most of it outside. But who knows? We'll live and learn. But I've definitely seen a big improvement once I got that CO2. That was for sure. That was nice. Like inside, I use just those bags, which are nice, those D's bags. Um,
glad to hear you're supporting the Michigan company. They're great people too.
oh yeah, I like supporting the little guy as much as possible. I'm a goofball. I even spend a little bit more money and support a smaller, like a hardware store, like a True Value or a Home Do It Center, right? Than Home Depot, right? I kind of like, I come from an entrepreneurial family, so I'm willing to spend a little more money. Like when I was going to college, I worked at a hardware store, right? And this guy treated his employees fantastic. I mean, he's a little hardware store. His employees had a 401k plan. They had health care, right? It would he he treated his employees fantastically, right? I still go back to that hardware store and spend more money than going to Home Depot just because how well he treats his employees and how well you know, it was like I really respect the guy, you know, and I don't know. Those big corporations, they don't need your damn money, you know. I get sucked into Amazon. I hate the, convenience, man, but at least they're trying to, some of them, little people are selling their shit through Amazon. So maybe I can rationalize it that way.
Unfortunately, they're pushing us that way. I don't like to do it either, but man, a lot of stuff anymore that's isn't available through your local store anymore. They've kind of made it, and I don't. Again, in some instances, I don't blame them. You know, where they're carrying limited stock on certain things. You know, it's tough right now to keep extra stuff on the shelves if it ain't selling. So that draws you. If what you want isn't on the shelf, where are you going? You're going to the Amazon, you're going to eBay or whatever. And while you're there, unfortunately, most times you're picking up other shit while you're there. You know, on there, I'm
Uh,
guilty of it.
they've made it too damn convenient with fucking PayPal and one click fucking buying. I buy too much shit, man. It's like, what the fuck? I don't know how many books I bought fucking recently and haven't read one of them. Like, I gotta stop buying books, you know?
I bought books, some books today, but that's funny.
I
That's
mean,
why
I
I like
will
my
read them,
Audible.
but it's like I gotta start reading them to like quit buying seeds because I could quit buying seeds because I had a whole refrigerator drawer full of them, because I got into this buying. Oh, I'm gonna buy this, Oh, I'm gonna get some lemon Jeffrey, and I'm gonna get, heard that, that painted lady or whatever, 22 ounces or whatever from one fucking plant. I'm like, man, I want that plant, but just chasing uh, but anyways, I'm trying to buy some better genetics, but we'll see there. But I definitely will crack those seeds Yours will be the next I try. So those are
I think
regular
that
though?
lemon, yeah, them lemon Jeffries, I believe, were outdoor. She grew that was her outdoor.
Okay,
Uh,
that makes more sense. That makes more. I couldn't figure out. I didn't hear the whole story, right? That didn't make sense to indoors, right? I'm like, how the fuck do you do that?
she had a nice looking outdoor girl, the lemon Jeffrey. She
Okay.
had buds about as long as her arm. It was a
Okay,
nice
that
looking
makes
plant.
more sense then.
She's a great gal. She's been on the show as well. She's been on the show as well.
Yeah.
She was actually nice enough to tell me I caught her on one of the shows. I think it was Embracing Organics. And she was nice enough to say it all started here with my invite with a lot of the shows that she's doing. So I thought that was pretty cool. I give a little shout out.
Well, she ain't bad to
It's
look at,
fun.
so it's easy to have her on your show, you know. And she's
Right.
knowledgeable.
Right.
She's grow, you know. She produces good bud. So what, you know, we need to see more, you know, women involved. You know, shit, it's
Yeah.
mostly that's what's weird because if you think about it, there's so many women gardeners. Why wouldn't there be, you know, I get, you know, I think one thing I heard at least in the past, the thought was it was a bigger risk to go to prison and, you know, women were less likely to take that risk because they got the kids, right? They don't want to put the kids in jeopardy, you know. So, but nowadays with it's legal, hopefully we get more women involved in growing, you know.
Agree. I agree. There's a lot of good lady gardeners out there for sure. I always thought it was kind of ironic that it was a male dominated industry, to be honest with you. I could see, honestly, with you, the male aspect aside of it being the selling, the moving, you know,
Yeah.
but the growing of it, it just seems like, you look back in time, the 50s type TV when I grew up, you'd look back and the mother always did the gardening. The lady of the house was always doing the flowers, the gardening. So it'd make more sense. And then, supposedly again, according to stereotypes, they're the ones that love the flowers, you know what I mean? So why wouldn't it be make sense that they were the ones that cultivating all the beautiful cannabis flowers? I thought it was kind of funny that in the end it was always the guys that were growing and appreciating all these flowers instead of the ladies. I was like, this is kind of ironic, really.
Well,
According to stereotype, anyway.
I think the guys were doing it solely for the cash, right? Not so much the flower. But I look back, I guess I was, you know, it kind of went away before I was born, right? But I guess my grandpa, right on my mom's father, so he had an extra lot next to his house. And I guess like he had the whole lot bordered with rose bushes, right? And it was like hundreds and hundreds of rose bushes, and everybody in the neighborhood would admire all these rose bushes, you know. So I guess there's always been gardening on, you know, male and female on my side of, you know, my family. But but it seems like gardening is definitely, don't mean to sound like a, you know, stereotyping
That's
people.
another thing too is I can't figure out is it's a plant. It's a plant. So I can't. It always kind of makes me smile that we actually dominate all of our knowledge towards just cannabis related growing knowledge. Like it has some secretive plant. You know what I mean? Basically, it's growing in like anything other. Why we should be pulling knowledge from all aspects of growing your garden, your flower beds. It's all the same nutrients and how the deficiencies apply. We should be reading all them books as well and taking, and, applying it to our cannabis. It's funny that
Yeah,
we just
well,
single it out.
I think Harley said it then that Jeff Longfellow said it. Oh, you just read about grown tomato plants, right? I mean, they're pretty much the same thing, you know. I even think Jeff might have said it on your show where sometimes, once a year or something, he would write an article on tomato plants and people who knew it was code for, growing cannabis or something.
For
I think I
sure.
heard,
It's probably right around cannabis times, planting and harvest times. He'd be probably talking about tomatoes.
something. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up because I gotta get to bed here and I gotta go to work eventually. I know I have a noon meeting, so I know I at least gotta get up and get going by noon. So
Yeah, yeah, even at this point, pushing 4 o'clock, that's only a short rest before a meeting there. So I greatly appreciate you taking time to hang out and buying the community another night of hanging out and chatting and having fun. And hearing your story. And it was a good one at that. So I greatly appreciate you coming and hanging out. And like I said, please keep that Zoom invitation handy because that is the same numbers for the wormhole every night. Any night that it's available, you're more than welcome to jump in. Please don't feel like you need an invitation. You already have the invitation. Feel free to use it whenever you'd like. And with that said, just the only thing I'd like to get from you, greetedly, before you go, is the sound bite. If you could you give me your sound bite?
yep, what episode is this? 309?
Th- 309.
Okay. Hey everybody, this is Detroit River Rat, and this is episode 309 with fucking talking shit with Eagle. I hope you enjoy this episode when you listen, and have a good one, everybody.
Thank you, my friend. And it was a good night. And I hope that I look forward of seeing you at some of these events here in the future. It's
Oh,
only a couple months before the weather breaks, and we'll be having some fun. So I'll be
you
looking for
definitely
you.
will because I want to get some information when they're happening and stuff. So that's why I'm all about joining. So I'm not bailing now.
Right
So
on, right on.
it'll be
Well,
nice
thank
meeting
you again. And
everybody in person. That'll be enjoyable.
oh, I'm sure all of us that are watching from Michigan are going to be looking out for you and stoked to be meeting you as well. So look out for all of us, and I know we'll be looking out for you. Good luck with
Okay.
that meeting, my friend.
Yeah. Take care. Have a good night.
Have, bye now.
Yep.
Well, that does it for episode 309, guys. For those of you that want to make it till the 420 hour, please give me a few minutes and I'll log back on. We'll get the wormhole going, finish out this evening. Those of you who do not, I greatly appreciate your time for coming up and going this far into the evening. Pretty awesome of you nonetheless. So, if not, you guys hopefully know the deal by now. Please try to do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. It's the least we can do for one another. But hopefully, you guys are going to take your time, fill your drink, fill your tray, and come back and get ready for that 420 hour. I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you very much, Detroit River Rat, for giving us another night, my friend. It was an amazing one. I'll see you guys